Trust me, I know. I was a very big BBD ABC fan.
This is the Imperial Scrolls of Honor podcast. I am Josh Folan.
And I am Jay Baxtron.
And we are going to be bullshit about the formative years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. Today, we are putting the last of the 8-bit Draculas in our crosshairs, the Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest on the Nintendo Entertainment System incarnation, thanks to Lord disciple Sir Ian Lippert kindly making it rain upon the Able Gamers Foundation with one full Benjamin unit of US dollars. Sir Lippert has, as is his birthright, after making said donation, decided this episode shall be named Lies, Damned Lies, and Cursed Nights. So it will be etched into the pod annals for all of time. And for our Literature of Antiquity, we are dialing it back to the infamous second issue of Nintendo Power for their 10-banger on the title, plus fold-out 3-panel poster and overworld map, a zany amount of coverage from the Nintendo HQ gang by early Nintendo Power standards. Emulation disclosure, so you know the tools with which we undertook our quests. Jay, how did you play?
I actually played this with the amazing Castlevania collection on my Xbox. So I have all the Castlevanias there. So I played it with the Xbox controller, remapped the buttons. It was pretty freaking smooth, man.
Are you sure they didn't fix anything broken in it?
I do not know, but I didn't know anything that was broken in it, to be honest. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was just a solid.
Okay,
solid
yeah, I mean, I guess nothing is broken, but I think that would be the people. So a game like this with the reputation it has, which we will discuss at length over the next many, many hours, the expectation would be that there are things that are broken in it, and I would love to know how one-to-one those little minutia things might transfer over in a modernization like that.
Well, if anything was fixed, thank you for that. For making my playing experience much better than it would have been otherwise.
Okay. I do have the cart for OG hardware intake, but I wasn't going to do that to myself for the same reason. Again, reputation. Fucking with passwords, having no save states to smooth out the rough spots that I expected to, or for this play experience to have. So I use the standard controller via USB adapter and the Nestopia core and RetroArch in my PC to play this bad boy. Please rate and review the podcast. Be part of the ISOH movement. Give us validation on the podcast platform of choice, on your podcast platform of choice, rather, in the form of a rate and review. We will read it here on the pod. Jay, what are you jamming on right now?
Similar things as last episode, unfortunately. Haven't been able to branch out much just due to work and travel. So playing a lot of College Football 26. The Miami U Redhawks are 5-2 with a win over Rutgers from the Big Ten. They're 3-0 in the MAC. Strong start to FY26, or not FY26, but that's a work reference. College Football 26 this season. So, man, that's crazy. But yeah, that, having a blast with that actually, even despite people kind of bitching about what they think are just changes to the game. I feel like.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it?
Well, people are just always. Well, there is one thing I will say. If you throw a ball high for your receiver and they got to go up high to get it, like, it takes very little to knock the ball out of a receiver's hands. Like, it was comically compared to College Football 25, where, like, you would jump up and grab it and your play is either catching it or they're not. Now it's like, if they're jumping in the air at all, just touch the receiver and they're dropping the ball like 90% of the time. So it's crazy. But, like, I just learned to stop high pointing balls like that, unless I'm sure my receiver has the advantage, like, in every way. So beyond that, I'm pretty good with it. But really, I'm only doing that, like, weekly for my Dynasty now. So whenever I play a Dynasty, I'll do that. I'm not, like, heavy into it as I was, like, last season. The newness is worn off. I want to play some different things, get some new experiences. And that has led me to Ready or Not. Like, I touched on this last time briefly. But, Josh, have you ever wondered what it would be like to be a member of a SWAT team?
I played one in a pilot one time. I did a lot of yelling and lost my voice. So
that's probably what this would be like. Although, yeah, I'm definitely doing a lot of yelling. Like, from a multiplayer standpoint, I've definitely gotten into this. I didn't think I would even like it at first. Like, you know me, I like fast pace, shoot 'em, Halo, Call of Duty, I'm sliding, you're jumping, like you're doing all this stuff. Like, that's what I like. I like grappling, like back smacking you. Like, I like doing all that, like fast paced combat. And this is not at all what this is about. Like, you run into any place, it's like real life. If I'm running into a freaking drug stronghold where dudes have guns, Leroy Jenkins, I'm gonna get shot the fuck up. That's gonna be bad.
no battle mage shit, huh?
Not at all. You don't get to respawn.
I was playing Skyrim last night, and they sent me off to kill some. They actually said it in the game. Like, there's this battle mage in this thing that I gotta go. I was like, I fucking thought of you. I was like, fucking battle mage, huh?
Yeah, no battle maging here, man. Like, so it's good when I'm on the mic playing with the guys. So we're like, all right, we're going through this door. All right, I'm behind you. I'm going to do the flashbang. There's 3 guys inside. You know, like, you communicate. That is the way to play this game. Like, every now and then, just due to like the timing, we'll just jump on the play, but we won't be on mics. And it's just like, it could be a clusterfuck. It could go either way because, you know, people are you're paying attention, but there's multiple doors to go in. So if I just like take the right door, you take the left door, nobody's there to back me up. It can go south very quickly. But it's when you're staying together and talking, it is a blast. But it is very hard for me to hold my Leroy Jenkinsisms like to myself and then not just like rush in and take people out. Like, oh, you got a gun? I'm taking you out. Like, there's no talking. Even when you're supposed to be fighting like the bad guys and like arresting them, bringing them in, it's like, give me a reason to shoot you, and that's what's happening because it's a video game, you know. So it's a fun game. I just don't know if I can play it long term. Like, I'm ready to play something a little more fast.
That's definitely, I mean, that's a cool ass premise for sure. I'm surprised. That's also like a very VR-able concept, in my opinion. You know, so I'm surprised that there's not something already.
Well, this, I mean, it's in beta, you know what I mean? Or not beta, like in
right, but I just mean that, you know, that a team-based tactical fucking infiltration thing. Like, and there are actually, I know there's something called Breachers that is probably kind of like that, actually. And I hear the guy in the VR Let's Talk Oculus podcast talking about it all the time. I have not tried it. But, so maybe that does exist and I'm just fucking ignorant, but that is certainly
that would
something.
Get sweaty so quick.
Yeah. Oh, he's a guy that likes to sweat in his headset, anyways, based on the games he plays. So I think he's mentioned before that yes, it's a lot.
Yeah, when you die, like the worst thing, since there's no respawning, the worst thing is just like when you think you got the whole area covered, you're like, I'm peeked around, I should popped. Be good. And somebody pops you from somewhere. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah. Yeah. The struggle is real. But man, because of that, and looking for the fast-paced stuff, Battlefield 6 has had a beta the last couple weekends. Did you catch this at all or hear about this? Oh my gosh. Like, all right, first of all, how much do you know about the Battlefield series? Like, is it something that's ever been read? All right,
sounds like one of those games that just like that million, you know, yeah. I don't know.
That's kind of how I felt, honestly. Like, admittedly, I didn't know much about it before, like, a couple years ago when they...
You'd be better off naming your game Squirrels, even if it had nothing to do... even if it had nothing to do with, like, squirrels, obviously. Just, like, something that's not fucking, you know, I don't know, a general-ass military fucking combat term. Like, get the fuck...
Yeah.
Like...
I mean, exactly. That's kind of how I felt. But, like, when they released Battlefield 2042 a couple years ago, and the trailer looked amazing. And so at the time, I was like, oh, that looks like open field combat, because there were some games I was playing that had like almost like For Honor and some other games that had like this open war concept where you might be out just like fighting guys here and there, but then you will go into an actual battlefield area where like it's our army versus their army, and you're just like fighting whoever you can fight. And that's I found that to be a blast. And so when I saw this, I'm like, oh, this is like real war, let me try it out. But the game dropped and it was terrible. Like, there was some kind of bug, so I just kind of forgot about it. And so this Battlefield 6 beta popped up on the Xbox. I still didn't care. I'm like, whatever, it's Battlefield. But then I started seeing so much chatter online about it for just the like a weekend beta, and they had another weekend. I was like, all right, let me check it out. Man, it is so good. It's so good. It's like how do I even describe it? It is open field. When I say open field, I mean like if you're out in an actual war zone in the mountains and there's like an army on one side of the mountain and your army is trying to siege it and there's tanks and people, like it's just everything you can imagine, just like people everywhere, things you can hide around, like natural it's just so good. Like it sounds generic when I'm talking about it. I feel like there's nothing that jumps out about
I think like those, the D-Day, there's a game that's like that where they try to replicate the chaos of like that. Yeah, I mean that is a fascinating and interesting thing. I'm sure that's what Call of Duty is now, isn't it? I mean, but it's not though. That's what I mean. Like Call of Duty has so many different modes and they're fun. Don't get me wrong, it's great. But there's something different, at least about this mode that I was playing. There is a mode that is very much like smaller map, very similar to Call of Duty. Like okay. To me, it was just like, all right, this is like Call of Duty with some different slide moves. So it ups the chaos of the warfare more.
Yeah. But then, like, when you have like the real like war zone where you're at location E, you're trying to get to location A, but you gotta like basically take enough of the army down through various checkpoints to get there, and it's.
Are you like controlling just one individual?
Yeah, you're just controlling one individual, but like obviously you can respond because it's war. But you have so many kills you have to take to defend your place, and it's so well done because I find myself doing what I don't do in Call of Duty as much, which is really thinking about the terrain. Like I need to go hide behind this side of the mountain because like there's definitely snipers over there. Like they're just so much more. It makes me think a lot more, whereas Call of Duty to me is much more like Halo, where I'm
and what is the era? Like modern?
Oh, it's still modern. Yeah, it's definitely modern. It's not like it's like, because it's a beta, like there's no story yet or anything, so it's all in my mind like fictional, like you're in this snowy place and that's where the war is taking place, or you're in this big like not desert but open field area with mountains and you're trying to get, and there's like little outposts here and there where there's definitely going to be enemies, there might not be enemies, and so I found myself really looking like, all right, where can I hide? Where can I, like, sniping is really not that fun, but like there's places you can definitely hide and get people, because it's not like a Call of Duty where everybody's played it for so many years. People know the maps, you know where to stand. It's very much just like, here you are, figure it out. And it played so well. It was so smooth that I understand why people are raving about it and can't wait for the full one to come out. So that's definitely on my radar when they drops full time for sure.
Okay.
So all of that current hotness, and man, that's pretty much it. I've just been jamming on that stuff these days.
Okay.
What about you? Clearly Skyrim.
I am playing Skyrim, obviously. Yes, I put in a full day's work yesterday, like 8 hours probably.
Damn.
It's not straight continuous, but over the course of the day.
Nice.
I clear out that inbox and then boom.
Solid.
So there's so much new shit in this fucking, mod conglomerate that I'm fucking playing right now. I think I just hit level 30 maybe last night. So fucking ton of, just time spent, but I can just, and again, like Skyrim is so weird because you just don't know. There's so much stuff that you can't possibly remember it all, but man, it sure seems like there's new fucking stuff POI wise that, I mean, there's certainly things I'm like, oh, I remember doing this. I remember finding that dog outside Falkreath and following him to deal with that Daedra thing. Like, there's like things I remember doing, but so much of it feels new. And again, it doesn't matter whether that's, DLC or mod based or not. If I feel that way, I feel that way. And that's all that matters. And one of the biggest things that is different now is one of the mods allows you to have more than one companion at a time. So I have had up to 4 at times. I kind of noticed like a little bit of at least what I perceived to be, it may have just been incidental and happenstance that it was happening while I had the 4th person. But I kind of noticed a little bit of a performance dip maybe. So, and also, honestly, it didn't bother me to cut it back to 3 because 1, I always have a fucking Daedra warlord, demon lord conjuration going as well. So I already have a 4th to begin with. So really it was 5. And aside from any performance dip, fucking having 5 fucking people just going apeshit in dungeon tunnels and shit is just a lot. And I have sometimes I'm killing things, my own people, as a result. So it's too busy, even aside from any performance, whatever effect it might have. But yeah, man, so you have a party, and that is such a different Skyrim experience to be able to. Because you have the one companion, sure, you just add some sort of something, and maybe you like strategize with that. But in my experience, I don't know if I've ever really thought about like trying to complement what the build I'm making with my companion.
Interesting.
In this case, with a party, you can you have the freedom, and there's also just more companions, I think. At least I feel like there is. Maybe I'm noticing them more because I can enlist more than one at a time, so I'm paying attention. Again, doesn't matter what the case is, but I feel like there's a lot of them. So you can build a party that complements each other. I had a mage from the College of fucking Windhold in the party. I had a tank. I'm playing, I love maces. I've always loved maces, so I'm playing with the mace again as my one-hander. And then I spell wield with my left. So at least that's primarily it. I also use a lot of bow and arrow stuff. I enjoy that mechanic so much in the game, and it allows you to do a lot of cool stealth shit too. That is really fun, I think. But either way, yeah, I'm kind of like this hybrid-y type character. So I've built around me a tank and a mage, and then I got a dog as well. I have a dog companion as well. So there's 2 dogs and a dark elf and a Nord that are, going around with me at all times. And, there's just no... I also, I'm almost certain they improved the AI of them, so they behave better. They are more helpful. I feel like and again, I don't know if I'm just like so impressed that like I'm noticing these things, and maybe it's how it was before, but like the tank, I feel like she got a hold. I didn't even give it to her. She got a hold of it on her own. I don't know how she did it, but she got a hold of a staff that does shock attacks. So sometimes I feel like she will strategically use that instead of melee combat, and that's just the idea that they're oscillating between weapons and reacting to the environment is so far above and beyond my expectation of Skyrim AI, right? Skyrim companion AI. So yeah, just, that aspect of it, I have really tuned into over the last week or so and really noticed how much more enjoyable that is, and being able to build a party and customize it and strategize and like make yourself whatever, just a more cohesive unit out battling all the shit. So that's it's just really fucking cool, and such a upgrade, obviously, over just the one limited thing of an idiot following you around, bumping into stuff, which is how I think it used to be. So very cool.
Oh, man.
Really, really cool thing. And then the other big thing, other than just Skyrim and the fuck out of the game, is one of the mods is this museum thing. It is... So it's a huge building that they added right outside the Blue Palace in Solitude. So right when you're walking up to the palace at the end of that L that makes up Solitude, the Solitude map, there used to be this fenced-in corner, and I don't think you could go in there at all. I'm pretty sure this was nothing before. But now the gate's open, you can go up and you go into this building, and when you first go in there, like, something leads you there, one of the notes or some whatever, that you do get like someone tips you off that it exists. Yeah, to go there and check it out. Like the museum needs help or some shit like that. So you go in and there's a museum caretaker, and he's like, I need these 3 things. I'll pay you to go get them. I'm starting a museum here. They're relics. Go get them, So yeah, so you go out, you get it. It's normal ass fucking fetch quest for Skyrim. You bring those things back, and he's like, okay, this is what I needed to open the museum. There was a red fucking velvet rope thing that he removes. You can go in there, and it is a fucking huge building, dude. Huge. There's like this big ass fucking foyer thing when you walk in that has like matching spiral staircases that go up. And in there, just if you had to fill that room, this would be like a serious undertaking, especially because these are like the relics from every quest in the game, dude. And like Skyrim is enlisting quests. So like,
What?
I mean, the easiest comparison I can make is Animal Crossing, the Animal Crossing Museum, where, there's some things you just got to get the thing, you got to catch the bug or catch the fish, but then you have the fossils, the dinosaur fossils, where you have to get the different parts, right? So that is like, there's a bunch of stuff that's just like, oh, get this fucking Warhammer from this quest, and then you bring it to the museum and it displays. You can take them anytime you want and go and use them. Like you go into business with them essentially. Oh, so there's like a donation box at the fucking thing that people come in and give money when they visit, and you can take money out of that. So it's like a residual income stream for you, for one. Two, it's fucking, it houses everything. And like so many of the things, you can build, there's just so much. You can build replicas so you don't have to leave the original thing. So like if you want to keep the thing that you found and not even, but have it on display because you're a weirdo, you need that slot filled in the fucking museum like I will need. You can go in and build, or you want to put, like my house, I bought Breeze Home in Whiterun, and there's all sorts of weapon racks and shit. So you want to display some things in your home. I like displaying the Thane weapons that you get from each city. You become a Thane for Whiterun. Here's this axe. I like to hang all those things in my houses in Skyrim. So I don't want those in the museum. I want those in my house, but I obviously don't want those slots empty in the museum. So you can go and you can build these replicas, and there's like parts that you have to get to make the replica for the museum. So you gotta, get that shit, build it, and they have like a whole room of like new kinds of workbenches and stuff that you have to use to do all this shit. You can change the way the displays look with fucking different things. It's like, dude, it is hardcore. And there's like, there's that huge room. There's a big ass fucking armory there's a main armory that's like a circle thing where it has every type of like the Forsworn and the fucking, that you can get like the entire armor sets and build them for the little display of each thing. And then there's like a east and west wing with all these armor mannequins that you can decorate however you want. So you can make like mix and match, make your own crazy ass fucking armor display. You could turn it into like an army of one type of armor. You can do anything you wanted with it. That would be so cool. There's a Hall of Natural Sciences where you go in and you build essentially taxidermied versions of all the fucking creatures in the game, all the dragons, all the trolls, everything. Like,
so this place didn't exist before?
Didn't exist. This is some psychopath made this as a mod, and it works flawlessly, dude. It is so good. And like, there's even like quality of life things. So like, you go in and like, you have all this, you accumulate this shit in your inventory. You can go in and there's like this book, like a sign out, like, and basically you can just like deposit everything and it'll auto display it, so you don't got to do the dumb shit. But you can, if you want to walk up, if you know where this hammer goes in this massive ass museum, and you want to walk up and put it in the thing yourself, you have that option. But if you want to just make it auto fucking the situation, you can just deposit it all and it'll automatically display them wherever they go in the museum. Yeah, man, it's hardcore, and you can even like. You don't have to go there if you don't want to. You can do that. You can set it up so you have these chests in your home, wherever your home's at, and you can just drop things in the chest and it like fucking gets shipped there. And you don't have to go to the fucking museum if you don't want to, to display things. It's so well done, and I mean, it is just there is no more crackish video game thing for my idiot lizard brain than that. It's just like, oh my god, of course I'm going to fill out this fucking museum and spend $300 in Skyrim. Fucking building out a digital museum that no one will ever see.
Honestly, it sounds a lot like, especially if it wasn't in the game at launch or anything after that, it almost sounds like somebody was playing ESO and they're like, we need to put that in Skyrim, because there's a lot of that in ESO.
I'm sure so much of this is
that they're like expanded on, like, this is just for one player. We don't have to worry about like all the load from all these other players. Let's just pile that in here. Like, it sounds like a lot of that, and it's making me kind of want to go play ESO.
This is a fan thing, so sure. I mean, clearly there's no question a huge overlap between the two as far as user base goes. So I'm sure anything that's cool that has been in ESO or was built into ESO, someone has put in. There's just zero question in my mind. Like I said, it's the exact number that are active. Like I said, it's actually like 1,900 something. I downloaded, but you tick some boxes and stuff. Like the active number is in my thing. It's 1,679 mods that are active when I play. The fact that it'll crash maybe every couple of days, one time. And I save. You got to save constantly to not get frustrated by that. But when I think about how seldom it crashes, the crazy shit I'm doing, and the fact that it has 1,679 code modifications actively
all
working on the fucking original game code. The fact that it works at all is insane. so yeah, anytime it does crash, I'll sit down and just be like, it's okay. like I'm able to talk myself down because it's such an amazing technical feat that it runs it all, So just, yeah, fuck it. Skyrim, so fucking good and so worth the time and so fucking cool. And I can't believe how deep I am into it now, given it's a fucking 15-year-old game or whatever. So crazy. So plenty of Pinball FX VR when I want to just jam on something for a few minutes still. Still discovering new things on both the tables I like, the Egypt and the Film Noir thing. Like, it's just amazing how multifaceted those fucking pinball tables are. And, yeah, it's just such a great pinball game. Cannot recommend that enough. That's just a jam-on thing. And then the only other thing I have is the X-Men Quest situation. And I was checking my reading guide in between the last recording and this and realized that late 88 is when the solo Wolverine book drops, and woo buddy, yeah, this is a whole, of course I'm doing that. I sent you the fucking cover one when I was up in the mountains in Lake Arrowhead when that happened, and I was reading a ton. And yeah, I didn't realize there was a lead up to it, to the debut of the solo book. They started this book called Marvel Comics Presents, and it's like a anthology book they would have 4 different storylines, each getting 10 pages per in a 40-page issue. And the lead storyline in each of the first 10 issues of that book was Wolverine's story, where he's in Madripoor on his own while the rest of the X-Men are in Australia pretending to be dead or whatever. He's off blowing off steam or some shit. And this, I didn't know. I presumed, but didn't know that this is exactly where the patch persona originated, was the ramp up to this book. Is he created this. it's comics are so bad. The whole idea, it's, again, the whole premise that the X-Men are dead and they don't, it's so important that that publicly is maintained, that his solution to being able to go out into the world in Madripoor and fuck around. One, Madripoor is like it's a sketchy place. People can hide and whatever. Yeah. But also, that's not enough, because the idea with the patch, even though his fucking hair looks exactly like Wolverine,
Right.
Yeah, and he's got claws, obviously. But they take this, that's his whole thing. I just finished, I think I'm on issue 10. So I did the full 10 Marvel Comics Presents. Yep. And then I've done the first 10 issues of Wolverine now at this point. And, Madripoor, there's a few mutants here and there that he's interacting with, but the bulk of them are commoner fucking drug lords or whatever, just scumbags. And the whole reason he doesn't just murk everything in nanoseconds is because he keeps saying to himself he can't pop his claws because that'll blow his cover. And it's just two sides of that. One, that assumes that he is so recognizable with his claws out worldwide that, especially in a bar fight or killing some drug lords in a fucking drug den or something, the idea that he can't pop his claws because it would blow his cover is fucking insane. And two, yes, just that dumbass eye patch and fucking,
it's like Clark Kent and his curl,
precisely,
the glasses changes everything.
Exactly. And it's just so fucking bad. It's just such a bad comic premise, I think, that is the only way all these storylines function, is that his claws aren't out. Because that's pretty much the solution. When things get really fucked, they like find a way to make it okay for him to pop his claws for whatever. Fucking, I can't even think of what the specific examples, but they figure out a way to make it viable for him to be doing that and not ruin their stupid ass X-Men are hiding in Australia thing. And and then he just murks everything, you know. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's a really bad crux, but it still is interesting, of course, to read the origins of these things and be cooking along in this. So that is a cool thing that I have going on, is that started. And then one really cool thing that I thought was a really good story, whatever choice or their ability to make it relevant, what have you. But there was like this really insignificant tangential moment in the X-Men book where they're in the Singapore bank. It's attacked, and this woman gets like fucking kidnapped or something. She's like the bank manager or some sort of executive at the bank. And like, I don't even, again, like it was a boring storyline, I remember, so I didn't maybe pay close enough attention. But the beginning of the Wolverine book, she comes back and she's like, she becomes a drug lord. Like, the whole thing is like the main drug lord of Madripoor fucked her over somehow or another, and she enlists Wolverine to help her like take him out and step into his place. And like, it was just a really cool, I've been saying how like I have we're talking about Inferno and X Factor and X-Men crossing over too is my next thing. And like, they're finally kind of tying this shit together, or making the books have overlap, which again is like my like core thing about wanting to read the other books, is like, I want to feel the universe there, you know, and have it make sense. And that was a really cool, because it was such a seemingly insignificant, there was no attention drawn to that, I feel, in the X-Men storyline. And maybe they didn't plan on doing it then. It was a bit ago. It wasn't, just like the issue prior or something. So maybe there wasn't some intelligent design there, and that's why it feels that way. But whatever gets us there is fucking make it interesting. So that was cool to have that kind of crossover a little bit. And on the X-Men side, 238 finally got us into the Genosha stuff, ever so briefly anyways, before we got into Inferno. So that was really cool. It was one of the best issues I'd read in a while. And in that, also, like, again, prior to Inferno and not knowing what happens and where it goes, but like, I'm reading issue 238 and I'm like, also, why in the fuck are Havoc and Madeline Pryor suddenly banging? What is wrong with these people? Like, where did this come from? Like, why? That's Scout's wife. Like, what the hell's happening here? You know, right? And like, I don't know, again, like, maybe I was tuned out. I don't know if I missed something but like, all of a sudden they're making out. And I'm like, what in the fuck is happening here? Like, this came out of nowhere. There was no setup to that at all. And like, yeah, I was like, what in the fuck is happening here? So that was very jarring. But whatever. It kind of like, again, getting into Inferno, it like kind of explains it and makes it all kind of make sense. But like, again, just, I didn't feel like it was prefaced at all and came out of fucking nowhere that those two just all of a sudden are like have a thing going on. So that was interesting. And then the tail end of 88 X Factor is Death Angel going after the stooge that double-crossed him. I can't think of the guy's name. But the guy that basically started X Factor with him and kind of came up with the idea to market them as a mutant hunting group, as like a disguise. That way people would call them and they could go and save the mutants, supposedly, and help them, whatever, get their shit together. So he's going after and trying to kill him, and that was kind of interesting to kind of, I don't know, tie up that loose end. And then Beast came out of his stupor around then, both physically and intellectually, the thing where he was just like, well, he can't use his physical power, he's stupid. It makes him stupid every time he does something physical, which was the worst fucking storyline in that book so far. So dumb. But like, that is accompanied by him getting the blue fur back, so that's interesting. And when he comes back out of that, he's like, also, I don't know, not what, like, he was like very egotistical and like, I don't know, it was like a weird, I don't know if it was like a deliberate thing or just, I don't know, I'm not sure what the choice was there, but he like came out of that stupor like talking a lot of shit and like being like a total douchebag, and that was funny to me because that's not his character. Right. He's kind of like a super nice, at least as I know him, and like when I started reading and he's in like the 300-ish X-Men's, like that is, he's kind of like a cool, super nice science guy, right? In the cartoon, he's like a super smart, very kind, well-mannered individual, and like he came out of this being like Captain Dickhead. Like
he definitely changes personalities. I would say like the nice guy kind of thing. That's not how I would describe him, just because I've seen.
I know modern, because like I said in the modern
all kind of stuff different.
Yeah, the modern book he like he breaks bad. Like I know that the into that recent X-Men book before they restarted the comp. Yeah, that was like the whole thing. That Beast was like the adversary for Wolverine in that last run. So yeah, I know he's oscillates, but in this time period, I was surprised that he had that kind of persona. I didn't expect that.
There's a lot of random things that a lot of times that they do that they'll do that. And to your point, like sometimes it's like just due to a writer change. Other times they just want to do some random stuff, and it's to your point, like somebody will start acting differently, and it's like, where did that come from? Or to your other point, random two X-Men are all of a sudden hooking up, and you're just like, wait, so that's happening now? Okay, right,
I guess that. Clearly the easy answer to that is exactly what you're saying. Is there was a lack, which we've said multiple times about this era in particular, is just a lack of continuity and a lack of. It's not precious the way it is now. They don't have lore masters. There are no lore masters at Marvel right now, making sure that everything lines up with everything. Yeah. So that is just the simple reason. But that's
more like, nah, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do this. He's going to do this now.
Right?
Like, we'll make it work.
We just need to print a book. Especially some of these books are going bi-weekly at this point. They're like, let's crank them out.
That's honestly why, like, I used to read X-Men, X-Factor, X-Force. And then, like, I ended up just, and even, like, New Mutants, Excalibur, like, a little bit. Like, for a while, when I was really into it, I was reading them all. But then it was like, all right, this group is not as interesting. These groups never interact. And then whenever a character would have, like, a Splinter book, like Wolverine, it wouldn't even be referenced. I'm like, this is not, like, he can't be off doing this thing, and he's still in the X-Men book. So I just ended up stopping that stuff.
That's so annoying. That at least felt, that Wolverine, like that exact thing you're saying, at least felt, it made sense now. For the
it's good time. When they did that, when they were keeping them, like even right now, like I'm in the Krakoa era still, and at least everything is connected. So it's like, all right, great. At
least makes sense, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's critical. But still, even with those acknowledgments, still some fucking, loose tendrils for sure. So they're dealing with a pretty cool thing too. They're dealing with the Mutant Registration Act stuff. X-Force was then, leading into Inferno. And it's kind of a rug that ties the room together with the X-Men story this time. I like that. There's even there's that, because what are they? It's Mystique and Blob and Pyro.
The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Yeah, whatever they are. When they're working for the government, the Freedom Force, I think they're actually called, when they're working for the U.S. government, and they're the ones that are out kind of like enforcing the registration by mutants to this act. And it was kind of interesting to have them show up, and for some reason or another, I can't remember what the reason was, but they, like, Cyclops and Jean and them, like, they had to, like, make the choice to register, and like the rationale for it, and there was like a little bit of a political divisiveness, and it was an interesting dynamic that, again, is one of the things that I'm excited to get into this era, this 250 to 300, because I think that is a broader thing that actually, that's what makes X-Men so interesting, is like the parallels to the political divisiveness of the real world, blah blah blah. So like that was super cool to start seeing those breadcrumbs kind of drop. I fucking hate that. I hate Cyclops so much. He's just such an awful character. The stuff with him and Madeline and Cyclops' kid and Cyclops' bullshit about it. Like, he's just such a he's like always the victim. That's what it is. He's just a fucking always the victim. He's just like, oh, it's so hard. My childhood was so hard, and the fucking everything about it just so fucking hard. He's just the absolute fucking worst. How like he's just constantly saying how, oh, what a putz I was to have made that. He's just constantly brooding. It's just awful. Yeah. It's such a disgusting character. He just never gets any better. It's fucking so frustrating. And that kind of reared its head there. And then Inferno goes like 239 on X-Men. And it's like this one was even more so than the Fall of the Mutants did. It was 40-something issues that spanned across countless books to try to sell Mag's crossover style. And I had a feeling I was going to fucking hate it. I thought, because there was like the lead in with the Goblin Queen and shit, Madeline turned into that in the X Factor book, and I thought it was just going to be this weird fucking demon realm thing, but it's where Mr. Sinister comes from, and that was actually really cool. To one of the few things about Cyclops I've liked, like them them finding a way, kind of like Saw-like, to like envelope previous stories into that, and like take Mr. Sinister's involvement with Cyclops all the way back to pre-X-Men and make that all make sense was a really good storytelling job. And yeah, I mean, I've known Mr. Sinister, I've had the cards, whatever. I never knew that he was so ingrained in there. Oh, really? Yeah, super. So that was a super cool story. And, you know, knowing that he was like manipulating Cyclops' situation that far back, and then also kind of loosely knowing that their kid is Cable. That's correct, right? I'm not wrong in that. So like knowing, I don't know, just how much that has in the X-Men fucking thing was a really cool thing that I did not see coming and was pleasantly surprised by when it hit. And yeah, and then they bring them together. That brings X-Men and X-Factor together when they're trying to finish off Madeline Pryor and him, and you get into what I've been saying, like why aren't they acknowledging each other? Why is there no acknowledgement of them being the original X-Men? They're the X-Men now, and there's like they talked about how they like have different philosophies, and like how the old X-Men were this super altruistic thing, and like the newer X-Men are like making choices to kill things and people, and like if they have to do that's it, they have to do what they have to do, and like that was such a cool butting of heads too that I thought was a good job to finally acknowledge and make work. So yeah, I thought I would hate that fucking storyline, and it actually turned out to be pretty fucking cool. So that was a nice discovery, and I just hit 246 last night. We just came out of Inferno, and I haven't started reading it yet, but there are Sentinels on the cover, so I'm pretty sure I'm headed to a cool place, and that I'm excited about.
That is the Castle Theme 1 Dwellings of Doom track, bringing us into this overview of Castlevania 2. Let's do it.
This is from the top of the manual. It is titled The Second Coming of Count Dracula. You're Simon Belmont, bravest of the brave, boldest of the bold, a Gothic warrior respected by kings. You earned your praise not by crushing invaders or Turkish hordes, but by destroying the evil Count Dracula in a duel to the death at Castlevania. But your victory proved painful, as the wounds inflicted during the duel slowly gnawed at your soul. One day, though, a beautiful maiden appeared. With a soft voice, she warned that you were possessed by the Count's curse. She said your only hope of destroying the curse, and healing your scars, was to find the 5 body parts of Count Dracula and burn them in his castle, ending the forever reign of the Prince of Darkness. Suddenly, like most beautiful visions, she began to fade, and as you reached to touch her, she spoke her final words. Fear not, brave Simon, for if you have the courage to risk your life, you will find the Punani. Wait, is that right? Oh, sorry, no. You will find the strength to win again. It's my bad. Jay, what kind of game is this?
Well, I would call it an action platformer, but I guess out there in the ether on the internets, it's called an action role-playing game, which I guess it fits if you're actually paying attention, getting the clues and all that. It's an action.
I think, yeah, I mean, you know, we no question will discuss, but to be wrapped in the exact same wrapper as 1 and 3, as this is, Castlevania 1 and 3, I mean, of course. Mm-hmm. This is not an action game. It's not even part. I mean, it's not an action game. It's not. There's so many things about it that fly in the face of it being an action game. I think that I couldn't believe taking it in the way I took it in this time more thoroughly for the podcast. How I always knew it was different, but I never made the call them cerebral. I would hopefully call them cerebral. That's in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. But cerebral fucking dissection of this. It's not. It's in the same way I think that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is not a boxing game. It's a puzzle game. This is like it's almost like a MacVenture game that happens to have some action sequences. Kind of, again, like the way Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is a puzzle game that happens to require you to punch big sprites sometimes. You know what I mean? And like that is wild.
Yeah.
Was what was wild for me to discover as I played through it this time.
Same. This was not... I clearly never played through this one before, because it's not what I was expecting at all, you know, based on playing 1, 3, 4, like, I don't know, I just skipped over this one, never cared about this one, but it's not, I did not expect to be having this thought, like, do I write down these clues? Is this going to be important later? Like, do I need to, like, I was very much, like, this is not, I thought I was just going to be running, whipping people and keeping it moving, you know, platforming is what I was expecting.
Yep, there's just so little of it here, really, or so little focus on it. I guess there is quantitatively a lot of it, but that's not what this game is about at all.
That's not what makes it tough.
No. That's a great way to put it. This was a Holiday 88 drop for Konami in the US. We'll call it December 1st in our records, and that was after it had hit in Japan a full year and some change prior, August 28th, 1987, over there. December 88 happenings and shit I thought interesting. Jay, ESPN aired its 10,000th episode of SportsCenter on the 2nd of December in 1988, already making it the most televised cable show in the medium's history.
10,000?
Yeah,
88?
Right, exactly. I cannot believe they'd already hit that number by 88. The first ep of SportsCenter aired on September 7th, 1979, so a little under a decade. They hit 10,000 episodes, which is fucking wild. They'd log over 60,000 episodes before going the way of the dodo. And as far as cable television goes, anyways, they still have SportsCenter, of course. But it's not measured the same way. And yeah, that's still recognized as the all-time leader as far as episodes of cable television should go. So pretty impressive and wild. This made me laugh. On the 8th, the Knicks, the New York Knickerbockers, set an NBA record of 11 three-pointers as a team en route to a 113-109 win over the Bucks. That's a whole game. A whole fucking game. They set the record with 11 threes. A single player could hit 11 tray balls in a single quarter in modern NBA basketball.
I'm like, didn't Steph do that like several times?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Last year by himself.
Yeah, 11 is a laughable number for a whole team record by modern standards. Is that I laughed out loud when I read that. It's just, wow, holy fuck, have times changed in the NBA. We get our first Iron Mike news on the 12th, as this is the filing date for one Sandra Miller's sexual harassment lawsuit against him. And we've said it a million times, but it's not a real month in the late 80s or 90s unless Iron Mike is in the news. And to double down on that, Lori Davis also files another suit on the 15th, alleging he grabbed her buttocks. End quote. Wackiest tidbit is on the 13th. 3 men ended a 29-hour, all 466 station subway ride in NYC. And that is a wild-ass idea to undertake. Like,
what?
How did it even... I mean, it's cool. It caught my attention. It is a good idea from, like, a novelty.
Wait, how long? How long?
29 hours. These three dudes do the idea of 3 guys. I guess it's definitely better to have that experience with some friends you can laugh
Yeah, you can't do that by yourself.
Sure, no, but I'm surprised that 3 whole individuals were able to and willing to devote 29 hours. You know what I mean? That seems like the kind of thing that a weirdo is going to do alone as far as like actual practical application, you know. But certainly a better idea to have 2 buds to do with.
That seems like something somebody would do now who was just like YouTuber and trying to get social media content. Like, I'm going to write you know what I mean?
Right.
Surprising for back then when maybe somebody will find out about it.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that it's in the news means they did, like, you know what I mean? They did something to, clearly, they talked to the press. Someone knew that was happening. So it was it had to be some degree of a publicity stunt in the same vein as you're describing, that someone can now just do it on YouTube without fucking having to let fucking the New York Times know or something. But It is, yeah. It was just, I was like, what?
But still, like, what did they even do that whole time? Like, that's, like...
They didn't have I know they didn't have a PSP, and they didn't have a phone. I read books. I mean, that's what a lot of reading. It had to be.
That's a lot of reading.
Yeah, they must have knocked
had your boombox. They had a boombox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fucking 1988. Yeah, what's the? I mean, you did
have to have cassettes or something.
You had Walkmans.
You couldn't even go on the radio.
You had Walkmans. You had 1988. You got a Walkman. You can fucking put in your fucking what's out in 1988. Chronic's not out yet.
NWA's not even out yet.
Right. Belle Biv DeVoe. Some Belle Biv DeVoe, maybe.
That's like 91. That's a little...
Is it? 92. No, Belle Biv DeVoe. Belle Biv DeVoe's fucking late 80s. I want to say, yeah, ABC.
Absolutely not. Definitely 90s. Definitely 90s.
Maybe. I don't know.
Trust me, I know. I was a very big BBD ABC fan. And I was definitely in my new house, so I was a minimum of 11. So it was at least 91 when that was happening.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, 91's 4th grade. You're probably right. 88 would have been fucking 1st grade. Yeah, that shit was not yet. You're right. In any event, they had ways to listen to shit, or whatever they might listen to. On the 19th, NASA unveiled plans for a lunar colony and manned missions to Mars. Guessing that precise plan changed a bit in the years since.
Haven't heard about the Mars colony. Any colonies.
Hasn't worked out yet. Top Billboard 100 track this week was Will to Power's Freebird cover, Baby I Love Your Way. And I've heard that song a million times. I had never realized that was a half-assed cover of a Skinner crank. And that was a bit mind-blowing to me. Like, I've heard that song a million times, and I never once thought Lynyrd Skynyrd in all my life. So, yes. Never. Yeah, that was surprising to read. And box office toppers for the month are Arnie DeVito Comedy Twins, one of the Naked Gun movies, and maybe the first, I don't give a fuck, I hate those movies, all-time elite Christmas flick behind Only Bad Santa, Fight Me On It If You Want, Scrooged, and then Rain Man and Tequila Sunrise are the big box office jammers in December Christmas 88.
Nice. Scrooge still holds up to this day.
Oh, it's definitely fucking fantastic, dude. It's so good. The fucking, did you try Staples shit with the fucking mouse? It's fucking soul-crushingly good. When Bobcat Goldthwait is fucking shotgun in his ass and is off. Oh, that movie is fucking great, dude. It is fucking great. There are so many priceless moments in that movie. So good.
Agreed.
The cover art, I forgot to do. There's just a blank bullet point here, but we all know what it looks like. It's behind you right now. It's Dracula on the fucking, the castle behind him. It's fucking the cool-ass title treatment. It's Simon Belmont doing the whip thing, hardcore. Very nice. I'm sure the back of the box is 3 screenshots that are very, very impressive. And it's funny that I forgot to do that. But the manual, I did do. It's 16 lean black and white pages. I expected more, given the format of the game. True. But I do think it is all there, for the most part. So good on them for not wasting our time with fluff. And after starting with that synopsis blurb, a how to play passage is worth also reading because I think it sets the table for one of our core objectives of this undertaking. Is all the information necessary to beat this video game given to us by the developers at the outset of the quest in the box? So, Jay, could you please read that?
I will, for the first time, since I didn't even look at this manual through my playthrough, which is very interesting. So we'll see how that affected things.
That is interesting.
How to play. In this one-player adventure, your quest is to discover Count Dracula's 5 missing body parts. Upon finding these gruesome items, proceed to Dracula's castle, where you'll again duel to the death with the Count, but heed the spirit's warning and find the magic cross before entering his domain. This quest won't be easy, for you must battle hideous fiends who stalk the land. Fortunately, the longer you survive, the greater your experience rating, and the less vulnerable your troubled soul. That's good to know. Secrets to this adventure can be found as you wander around friendly Transylvania. Stop and talk to the villagers, because these helpful strangers will give you clues. Some are also merchants who will sell you weapons and other mystical items. Your purchasing power depends on how many hearts you've collected during your confrontations with evil. Another warning from the spirit. A few friendly villagers are town pranksters, and their clues are false. Of course, you'll never know until you take the chance.
So,
That's a lot.
that is a lot, but right away, we dispel the idea that players are not warned about NPC dialogue possibly being bullshit. So, Konami 1, Internet Shithead 0, scoreboard, bitches. Page 7 lays out, we have a day-night cycle in this game, which is a pretty revolutionary concept for a side-scrolling action platformer, regardless of what kind of genre undercurrents it might have for the time. They communicate the differences with screenshots of a town in both states, and they show Transylvania at high noon. When the sun shines bright on this Eastern European village, all appears well and calm. This is a perfect time to discover clues and purchase weapons. And then, side by side with that, they have Transylvania at the stroke of midnight. When the sun sets behind the Transylvanian mountains, the friendly villagers scatter for the safety of their homes as creatures of all shapes, sizes, and hairiness roam the darkness. I.e., shit gets hectic at night. Watch your 6 power player. Page 8 is a swing at a stage breakdown, but because the game is a non-linear Metrovania, they decided to get a bit creative with this. And they call it the 6 Haunting Scenes, which both taps into the cinematic vibe they love to hint at this IP, and allows them to just paint a broad strokes picture of the story world with their choices. So they start with the mansions, and this is described as there are 5 mansions located throughout the Transylvanian countryside, and within each is a heavily guarded piece of Count's corpse. Jay, tell us about the church.
You'll enter the church through certain doors in the village. When you arrive, a holy man will return your strength and give you the courage to continue.
The ferryman is next. The ferryman will know exactly where to take you, depending on the body parts you possess. Have confidence in this man. He knows where he's going.
The forest prime evil. Enemy creatures scour the countryside. You must destroy these dastardly beings to increase your experience and gain hearts, i.e. purchasing power.
Bridge over the river Dai. Enemy creatures await you on the bridge as well, and getting to the other side will be more terrifying than a traffic jam on the Golden Gate. I hate that they took us out of the story world for that fucking little thing. Like, how dare you, sir, to talk about some modern bridge instead of, keeping it in the fucking, whatever, antiquated Transylvanian vibe thing, so. What have you. Last but not least.
The graveyard. Are you dying to get into the graveyard? If so, find the old man who is caretaker for the dead. Interesting.
That's one of the few things I didn't do either, is I couldn't find the garlic drop to get whatever, I can't remember what it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's the laurel bag, maybe the silk, I think it's how you get the silk bag where you can carry more laurels. Not that I ever thought about needing more. I mean, I guess I did, that's a lie. Because there's a part where you got to get to that fucking swamp, and it's big as fuck, and it'd be nice to have some extra laurels. But for the most part, it wasn't something that was important enough to me to really dig into and look up. But yeah, that's one of the few shortcomings play-wise that I had.
That's fair. I was definitely looking around myself. I was like, what do I do here? Like, I was pressing all kind of things trying to figure it out until
it's like the fourth grave and it's like the fourth headstone. I was dropping. I only had so much garlic, and I just fucking wasn't worth going and buying more. I was just like, fuck it. Yeah. Page 9 starts a run of breakdowns. Count Dracula's missing pieces here up top, and they take this opportunity to underscore some cool pencil illustrations with mostly puns. Also hate that choice. I do kind of like the ring bit though for an 88 NES game manual joke. It reads, "It's been in the Count's family for hundreds of years." Then again, the Count's also been in his family for hundreds of years. Magic weapons breakdown on page 10. There's 3 knives, dagger, silver knife, gold knife. These are projectiles. Silver goes further than the base dagger. The gold is the strongest and is described as has a mysterious power. And yes, that motherfucker is legit.
Yes, absolutely.
The oak stake, and it says we need one of these to collect the Dracula bits at the mansions. There are 5 whips that are explained here. We have leather, thorn, chain, morningstar, flame, some small nuances to each, but basically just a linear progression of badassery in that order for your primary mode of attack. And then page 11 is magic items. We got the cross. Need this to seal Dracula's fate. That's kind of vague. All 3 crystals are shown here, white, blue, red, and they do not explain them at all, really. They do specify you need the red one before entering Dracula's castle, but don't say why. So I guess they convey that they're integral here, but they don't tell you certainly the specifics of that. There is the garlic, and we place this in front of enemies and will weaken them significantly. Again, I never used this on an enemy.
Neither did I.
Yeah, couldn't get it to work in the fight, so this is kind of useless in my opinion. I wasn't able to really fucking employ that as it should be employed. The diamond says toss it and see what happens, and that's a shit description, but that is also a badass.
Also useless.
No, it's not. It is not useless. No, it is not.
I found it useless.
I didn't think I needed it either, but I
figured it had some specific use later that I never found, so it was never even a thing. So it's okay.
It definitely has. It is helpful. It's probably a weapon, because we'll talk about it later, but its damage, the damage it does, is tied to your whip level. So, you can get it up to the same damage level as the golden knife, for one, which is great, because that thing is a rim wrecker. Right, so that's cool. As long as it's true. I can't prove that, I suppose, but that's supposedly the case. And that's internet stuff, so it probably is true. But it also, the flight pattern is interesting, and it changes, and it allows you to kind of lay down cover fire for yourself in a way, because it bounces at weird-ass angles, and kind of
I could see how you could use
so you can get things up into the air, and you can also fire as many as you want, so you can, as long as you have the hearts, you can fucking fill the screen with them.
Just have it bouncing around.
Right, so yeah, it is an interesting weapon that you can do a lot with if you try to get strategic with how you deploy it. And that is cool, of course.
I think I just forgot about it once I got the golden knife. Like, once I tried that bouncing around, and then I got the golden knife, and I was like, why use anything else? And I was
honestly, it probably most importantly ties back to the idea that this is not an action game, and killing things is not the hard part. So that it diminishes your inclination to spend, and we'll talk about that too, but the economy, you have this double overlap of economy and ammunition, so that's, especially a conservative player like me, it's incentivizing you to not try things and to waste ammo and to, be more offensive. It suggests that you should try to conserve these things. So yeah, there's just a lot of reasons why, trying shit out and fence testing with your secondary weapons is not really incentivized in this game. The silk bag can carry more medicinal herbs, as I just explained. Hearts are shown here. It says they both increase your experience rating and doubles the currency for the game, as I just said. The holy water is said to disintegrate walls and floors, and they tell us that weapons and items can be concealed by these destructible walls and floors. And yes, as you learned, this is the most probably important thing in the game, period, because it allows you to find everything, and allows, whether that be the pits and the fucking floors, the hidden traps and shit, or the all-important clues, or the merchants that sell you the shit that you really want in the game. And by the end of the game, you can't find a merchant without going through some wall or floor first, maybe even multiple of them. So that is a critical thing to learn very early on in this game, or you will not have a good time.
Which I learned, and thankfully I wasn't aware of kind of the Metroidvania potential back and forth nature of this game, and so I was just like, do I have to start all over again? But thankfully I was able to just go back. Spoiler alert, you can't find the holy water anywhere else except one place in the game. You better go get it. Otherwise,
very early on. Yep, 100%. The laurel makes you invincible, and there are a lot of applications for this. The obvious one is to deal with the enemies, but again, that's not really the focus. I think the chief function of these is to allow you to traverse the swamps in places where you need to. There's no way around going through the life-draining parts of those. Yep. They close out with a bestiary on pages 12 to 13. That's titled Count Dracula's Best Buddies. Kind of fun. There's some bosses, some grunts. Who the fuck is Freddy is my probably biggest question about this. Lots of illustrations, though, albeit itty-bitty ones. Jay, is there any notable history for Castlevania and or Game Genie codes that made you not feel like you were cheating?
Well, the Game Genie situation I found kind of whack. First and foremost, I didn't need to use any of the Game Genies any of those codes. And even when I looked them up, they were kind of very plain. Like, why would I use these?
Yeah, unless they have one that allows you to do a brain dump of information somehow.
Whatever the codes were, I just looked it up and just like X'd out of it. I was like, this isn't helpful. But again, I didn't really need it. Like, I was going to originally play this through Nintendo Switch Online with the OG controller. But like I said, when I remembered that I had the Castlevania collection that I got for freaking, I don't know, $10 or something on sale, and I have all of them on my Xbox, I was like, yeah, let me just use that. And so never needed to even really do this. I mean, I could save state there, so that was fine, but I didn't really need like multiple save states beyond what I had. It was great. So didn't really need to use any codes. Was pretty solid there. From a history standpoint, like, yeah, I mean, it's funny because just reading on this, it talks about how this first Castlevania really just introduces the non-linear gameplay and kind of all that, which, yeah, like, it's funny because sometimes when we do these episodes, I read all about the game first and then play. And this, I just kind of jumped in. I kind of jumped in just to see, like, all right, I'm probably going to suck at this at first, thinking of it as an action game. And then I'll just start over, and get a real playthrough. But I just kind of jumped in and went with it and played. And
Same here, man. I told you I couldn't believe how fast I got through it and how badly I did not want to put it down. Was also a big thing. Part of that was like being on vacation and like just having time to fuck around and like consciously trying to not think about work. So that helps with that, perhaps. If I had not been at Lake Arrowhead, I might not have approached it so fucking focused. But yeah, I mean, I had no inclination at any point to put this down. I wanted to be done with it. Not in like, I'm sick of playing this, and like, I want to see what's next. I want to go next. I want to keep playing. And that was, I didn't necessarily expect that.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's funny too, because this was released originally in Japan called Dracula 2. So it's kind of fun that they just went straight up like Dracula. Like, I'm sure, I wonder why they didn't do that in the US. Maybe they wanted to just have a standalone, because when you think about Dracula, you think about whatever you've seen of Dracula and not like a standalone IP.
Right.
Interestingly, this does take place 7 years after the first one, like you mentioned, which I thought was kind of fascinating. But other than that, man, not really anything interesting. I mean, clearly very widely renowned game, part of, like I said, the Castlevania Anniversary Collection that I own, and great reception wise. Like 7, I don't know about great, but like 7.5 out of 10. I guess the Japanese version was only 20 out of 40, so not much there. But more recent reviewers, Nintendo Power gave it 4.5 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5, which I think lines up more probably with what we would say after playing, at least what I would say for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
That's nice. Pretty plain.
That's nice foreshadowing. Did you know, Jay? There are 0 classified info entries for any of these 3 Castlevanias up through May 91. And that was very surprising. Like, I did not, not even like a sound, I don't know, nothing. The fact that there was not a single one of them for this big of a franchise was odd to me. Kind of.
That is surprising, especially with all the stuff.
Right, with this one in particular. I mean, the thing is, classified, there are counselor corner hits, but there's no classified information. So just,
okay.
I mean, Konami too, like Konami code, like Konami hides things in games for sure. So the fact that there was nothing to share for any of the 3 games on that front is surprising to me. But I did do a thorough canvassing of the National Institute of Nintendo Power Classified Information Agent Submission Archive Database mainframe. So that was very thorough in my checking of that.
There's one thing, I guess it's probably more interesting than anything else that we've talked about from a historical perspective. So right after the game was released, and it got strong publicity in the second issue of Nintendo Power, like
our Literature of Antiquity, of course.
Yeah, exactly. The image is a costume model holding Dracula's severed head. And so, like, that provoked, as you can kind of imagine, 1988 Nintendo, the world, and the US at the time.
Moms were pissed!
Exactly. So, they're calling up, like, this cover's giving my children nightmares. And so, yeah, it's just very hilarious to me. And, like, Nintendo didn't change anything as far as I know. Like,
Go fuck yourself.
That's the magazine. It is what it is, people.
Yeah. Why are you calling us instead of that Toys R Us spending money on our shit? Shut up. Yeah, exactly. So we do have 2 Consoles Corner hits. As I mentioned, there are 2 in Nintendo Power 4. That's the January-February 89 issue. The first is, the question for it is, how do I go about finding the clue books? And this starts by pointing out that while townspeople might be full of shit, clue book contents are 100% accurate. So they were critical to find if you want to figure out what the fuck is what in this game. And then their first suggestion is to firebomb every single wall, Wolfenstein 3D wall grunt style. And a less painful tip here is that getting the Eye of Dracula reveals all these to you without that fence testing. So prioritize scoring that ASAP. And, thinking about that in hindsight, I think that's your third. If you do it kind of in the right order, right in quotations, that's your third middle acquisition, Dracula part-wise, and that's kind of where it makes sense to me that you'd want, beyond the obvious just repetition of having defense test constantly is annoying, but I just mean like the difficulty of doing it and having to, there being a little bit more difficult platform, a little bit more difficult enemies, blah, 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 blah. Like, not having to worry about that as a thing around the midpoint in this game is kind of a smart, intelligent design choice. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you can think to turn it on, of course, and use it, which I never did.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, it would have been helpful because there were certainly times where I was like, where the fuck is the thing? So, what do the crystals do? How do I get past Yuba Lake, the Deborah Cliffs, and enter Berkeley Mansion? And that's the next Console's Corner thing. And it is explained that these are powerful items that allow you to pass through some incredible obstacles. They really breadcrumb you on this topic, though, which I love. They don't just like tell you what to do. Yeah. But on Nintendo Power, because these are kind of like the 3 things about the game that like really require you to dig, find clues, process, try things. You know what I mean? So that is spoiling. That is kind of like blowing, not obviously as big of a deal, but kind of like blowing outer wilds for someone. It's just like that's the whole thing. If you know that. Just don't play the game. You know what I mean? Just let someone talk to you about it because you're ruining the experience by taking that away from someone. So I like that. White crystal can be found by searching the town of Veros, we are told. Then you are tipped off about the blue crystal's location by a clue book found in the west end of Algeba Woods. So they tell you where the clue is that tells you what the thing is. And that's cool too. And then they do not explain how any are used, at least explicitly, but they do say you will be able to do the same thing that you do with the blue crystal with the red crystal, only in a different place. And then they tack on to find out where, look for a clue book in the top right of Bram's mansion. So they're telling you, again, and that's the thing, dude. Like, we'll talk about that a lot as we go here, but like, the real thing you're doing, yes, like, you have to find these 13 clues. It tells you there are 13 also. Like, you are told early on, there are 13. Make a numbered list and go start looking because you need all of them. Maybe not all of them, but you need most of them. And you definitely want to find 13 to know that you got all the information that you need to be able to beat this game. And like, without obviously aids of some kind. So that we'll get into it, man. But just to set my fucking thesis, like it's all here. Like the whole theory that this game is opaquely impossible. And even Ian, the guy who told us to play it, was bitching in our thread and saying like, "Oh, that's fucking too." Like, I'm like, dude, I think we're gonna shock you a little bit this episode. Like, but you thinking about this thing in like the way I have to play this game for the podcast, where I'm writing everything down and I'm thinking about like really microanalyzing everything. Like, it's all here, and I think such a small subset of the retro gaming community knows/believes that, and it's true. It's all here. It's a motherfucker to find, and yes, it requires fence testing. But even here in the Nintendo Power, they're telling you, yes, it requires fence testing, but that is in the fucking syntax of video games in 1988. Like, that's not uncommon to have to just, fence testing, like, yes, maybe that's not always fun to do, but that's very much, like I said, it's Wolfenstein 3D, wall grunting, Doom, wall grunting. Like, that's part of the deal, man. If you want to find everything and get through these games, like, that's how they hide shit. You know what I mean? That's how they hide the difficult to find shit in video games in 1988. That's how they do it. So you bitch about that now if you want, and say it was hard to do as a kid. And like, yeah, as a kid, I mean, this game was not built for kids. It just wasn't. You know what I mean? And that's a whole thing I'll get into as well. But like, yeah, again, just setting the thesis, man. It's all here, and that was my original guess. I was like, I bet it is. It might be hard to pick apart, and I think that is true for sure. But my original assumption was Konami is too good of a developer to just drop some shit in this bigger franchise that's incomplete and not all thought out. And I think they thought it all out. They didn't give a fuck that it was hard. And that's
clearly did not.
And that's maybe not being cognizant of what your ultimate target demo is. And I think you can maybe firm up that hypothesis by looking at the commercial for this, which we will later, which is a rather small child playing this in their room alone. So like they know who they're marketing to. Not that, I mean, Nintendo in general, that's the age group that all Nintendo games will be marketed. There is no like adult section to the Nintendo library fully anyways. And that is maybe a little bit of an incongruence, but you know, I don't think the developers were unaware of what they were doing. It wasn't stupidity. It wasn't lack of thought. It wasn't bad design. It was, this is hard and deal with it. It's not even that's hard. It's just, it takes work. It takes work and a little bit of understanding that and creating a framework for yourself to find all the things that you need to finish the game. And like, that's, yes, not an 8-year-old thing.
I was going to say that I can see where everyone is coming from because like, there's definitely some things I had to look up because I was just like, I don't understand what I'm missing here. I definitely was not writing stuff down. I hate writing stuff down. You know that. When it comes to these games, I'm just like, if it's not critical for me to write it down and to get the podcast done, I just want to play it. And so I definitely was, especially like understanding that there was going to be some bullshit coming from the people. I'm like, I'm not writing down. Like, I'll think about it. Like, whatever, I'll be fine. So I wasn't writing down anything for like the first half of this game. I just wasn't writing it. And then later, I'm like, I definitely didn't get whatever this sixth tree I was supposed to. I definitely didn't find that one. And even once I got the eye and I realized there was a book I couldn't get to at the time, and and it was just kind of like, all right, I'm missing some clues. Like, I'm not redoing all of this to try to go back and snake my way back up to where that one clue was and hope. No, I'm just not doing that. And so like, especially from like a kid's perspective and the perspective of someone who's just like, I want to play a game. Like the idea of having to come up with a framework first and like take notes and like, I got to make sure. Yeah, that would have been tough. So I could totally see how, like, I see your point. Like, yes, it's all there. But you got to be a specific kind of person in a specific kind of mood with the time available to play this the way that they want you to play.
For sure. 100%. For sure. And I was a kid, I will caveat all that with, I was the kid that wanted to have a little notebook, my little spiral bound notebook with fucking journal. I wanted to write some shit down. Make me write shit down. Make me make a map. Like, make me do all that. I'm down. I can't wait to fucking alphabetize it. But even with that mentality, I couldn't even scratch the surface of this game really as a child. So believe me, I again, it's very simple. It is all there. I think it's well designed. It's just not for 8-year-olds, especially in 1988. I bet there are plenty of 8-year-olds that could do this now. I think childhood development, not that I'm some fucking child expert, but I bet there are more kids now that are built with the tools to do this. They don't need to because games are built in a different way now. Right. But I bet they have the tools, the skill set to play a game like this now better than we did in 1988. Yeah.
But if you're that type of kid, because my kids are so smart. They're like, but I don't know that my kids would want to sit. You know what I mean? They'd be playing this and getting clues and then just like, Nah, I'll do something.
Well, again,
else.
Here's the thing.
Totally capable though, if they were
exactly.
If that's the only game they had.
The things that you have to do manually for this game are built into the UI now. That's the thing. Like they don't want to deal. I don't think. Yeah, they don't want to deal with the tedium of having to create that framework themselves on an actual piece of paper with a fucking pencil. But like the mind. It's just being automated for them. Yeah. They don't have to do the legwork, but the ability to like understand what that framework is and that it's part of the deal is, I think, very much there in kids now. And again, yeah, just because maybe that's the thing is that like, yeah, kids probably aren't good at designing systems. They can navigate them. Maybe that's a simple way to put it. You know, if you put a system, they can understand the system if you put it in front of them. And it's just the problem with this is it requires a like, I don't know, a management skill, you know, that kids are just not predisposed to have to use in their daily life. Maybe, you know, this is obviously way fucking headier than we should be getting this early in the fucking game or the episode, but that's, you know, that is an interesting idea and way to think about it, I think. Yep. Back to Counselor's Corner, they throw us another bone in issue 8. That's a September-October 89 issue. Question here is, where is Castlevania and how do I get there? and they just lay it out for us here, step by step. Step 1, kneel close to the rock wall at Deborah Cliff. So they took like, what is that? It's January, February 89. So 9 months later, the kids are still sending letters like, what? I read that. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Great. Kids and parents. Yeah, like it's got to be more explicit than that. Okay. So, yeah, step 1, kneel close to the rock wall at Deborah Cliff with the red crystal in tow, and a whirlwind will carry you to Bodley Mansion. From there, head right through a town and over a broken bridge to a stairway, down the stairway, and right till you hit a wall. If you have the cross and all 5 Dracula parts, you'll be able to break the bricks by using your nail or holy water. Keep going, and you'll be on your way to Castlevania and a final encounter with the Count. That's a lot of opaque bullshit for sure. I was eager to see if the in-game breadcrumbs, after reading this, would explain this to us at all, let alone clearly, as this does. And like I said, it's not clearly, perhaps, but I think it is all there, for sure. Economic analysis. Fortune smiles upon thee, econ nerds, all 4 of you. I was inspired to conduct some economic analysis for this title. And interestingly, I have done this for all 3 Castlevania games. There must just be something about that Transylvania economy that really gets my biscuits burning, I guess, because I have without thinking to myself I'm doing this for all the Castlevania games, I realized doing this that I have done one for each of the 3 games, and that was funny to me. For Castlevania 1, I sorted out exactly what was the money bags, or what was in the money bags littered around Dracula's castle, as well as what they would have been worth in present day. And then for Castlevania 3, I sorted out what the cost of cartography services would be, or would have been, to put together that dope in-game map of Dracula's castle and the surrounding countryside. And I believe that one actually ended up being so convoluted that I had to issue a retraction deal the following episode, because it occurred to me when I was doing the edit, and I was like, wait a minute, that wasn't explained properly. So I had to go back. This one, I'm pretty sure, is straightforward, and I didn't fuck up, but we'll see. Anyhow, Sir Ian has disclosed, our kind Able Gamers benefactor, has disclosed to me he's an econ guy, and somehow enjoys these, especially in our early episodes, as he's going through our catalog. So I wasn't going to shortchange him on this after that kind Able Gamers support also, in addition to just having something that I wanted to talk about. So our mission this time around, should we choose to accept it, is what is one of these heart doodads we collect throughout the game worth in 2025 US dollars. So step 1 is always carbon dating the game setting to give us a time period in the real world that we could look at as a reference point. And this is concretely sorted in the Castlevania timeline. As you mentioned, it's 7 years later than the first game. The first game takes place in 1691, very specifically. This one also very specifically takes place in 1698. So late 1700s, 17th century. And I was thinking my previous research in valuing the money bags, being only 7 years prior to this, would be of assistance in this calculation, but not the case at all, actually. It was this was all about sorting out what the most common form of currency was in the region, the Hungarian florin, and valuing that, that was the first one, the Castlevania 1 one, and valuing that on the basis of its gold content. Now this, of course, we're dealing with a currency that is devoid of precious metal content, so we have to devise its value intrinsically. So the best way to do that is to look at the items we purchased with them, sort the value of those in a more traditional currency-based sense, and then go from there. So I started with the whips. thinking that would be their bigger purchases and would be the most interesting, of course. But we start with the base leather whip. We don't get a monetary value for that. And then the rest of them are they're just really shit out of fantasy fiction. Yeah, they don't have a real world equivalent that I could go with. The chain whips I did find, I was surprised somewhat to find that chain whips do exist in martial arts weaponry, but it's not the exact same thing. And I didn't really like the idea of using something from a different culture and a different time period as like the foundational kernel for this. So I decided to skip the whip idea. The base dagger, however, which you can cop for 50 hearts, did make a lot of sense to me. So a basic functional dagger, doing my research on history and what these weapons, something like this would have cost at the time. A basic functional dagger would have been a very accessible item for a professional soldier or tradesman in 17th century Hungary, which is where Transylvania was, or is, I guess. And drawing from figures for mercenary pay in the broader Habsburg territories, a foot soldier earned around 4 guilders per month. And a simple dagger might cost a fraction of this, perhaps 1 or 2 guilders, is what was on record. And because this is the basic bitch dagger, and I never even considered using it for that reason, I think it does 2 times the damage of the base whip. So I think I think the thorn whip goes up to 4 times. I can't remember. We'll get into that. But either way, very low damage. It costs hearts. Nah, didn't even think about using it. So
yeah.
I think considering it a basic item that these soldiers could have accessed at the time made sense to me. And thereby, 50 Simon's Quest hearts equals 1 guilder, I think was a fine conversion rate to go with. So one fun thought we can already say is that 50 hearts, which you can easily stack in maybe half a night of murking Transylvanian baddies early game, is a far more high-paying job than being a foot soldier, where you'd earn that in an entire week in 1698. So I think that probably is in line with the significantly heightened occupational risk of out killing werewolves and shit. Sure.
I should hope so.
Yeah, right. But nonetheless, an interesting thought experiment, I felt. So now we got to get 1698 guilder to modern US dollars and divide that by 50 to give us the conversion rate, right? So a 1698 Habsburg guilder, or florin, and it warmed my heart to see that I remembered that as the currency form when I did my Castlevania 3 breakdown. So I'm internalizing the economic history. It was funny to me that like I've gathered this much knowledge from this dumbass exercise I do. It was funny to me. So one of those was worth approximately did have approximately 12.99 grams of fine silver. And this was the standard value, it was worth 12.99 grams of fine silver, sorry. And this was the standard value according to the 1690 Leipzig standard, which was adopted by the Habsburg monarchy, which is just random historical bullshit. And to understand the 1698 guilder value in a more like fucking relatable way, it's better to look at what it could buy at the time, its buying power, and the purchasing power of silver was much higher than it is today, according to the internet, too. So that's another reason that was kind of useless information. So, in the 17th century, a guilder was a significant sum of money with a smaller denominations called the cruiser. It was like 60 cruiser equaled 1 guilder were used for everyday transactions. And the most easily transferable everyday transaction I found was for beef!
What's beef? Beef is when you need 2 cats to go to sleep. Beef is when your moms ain't safe up in the streets. Beef is when I see you, guaranteed to be in ICU.
Around the mid-17th century, 1 pound of beef in Vienna cost approximately 3 cruiser. So, in 1698, 1 guildin, would therefore purchase around 20 pounds of beef. So, now we move up to modern day, 2025. The July 2025 average national U.S. price for a pound of ground beef was $6.25. So, you take $6.25, multiply by 20, that's $125. That means $125 for a dagger in 2025 is the same price as it would have cost or is what the price would have been modern day for the same kind of dagger if we just bring that forward with the conversion rate of sorts that we've worked out here. And that may be a little high, but I think if you think about it more like, again, kind of like we said about silver, I think a steel dagger now is also just a more easily manufactured thing. So I think you have some disparity there. But generally speaking, if you're thinking about it in a more abstract sense of a functionally crafted piece of steel that is a military grade weapon, I think maybe 125 kind of makes sense to me. So that was, I kind of liked the science there, the math kind of worked out in my mind. So one other thing I wanted to do with this, just for funsies, was take that back to Christmas 88, that 125 in present day dollars, take that back to Christmas 88, and see what we could score out of the 88 Sears Christmas Wish Book with that amount of money. And again, get a better idea of buying power in 1988. So 125 dialed back 168.09% via the inflation rate, leaves us with $46.63 in 1988 dollars. Jay, what would you buy out of the 1998 Christmas Wish Book with $46.63?
Dude, I would have strongly...
This book is 688 pages, FYI.
So many pages.
It is. It's so brilliantly designed, though, in that it's like it starts with all this parent shit. The middle third is all kid shit, and the back third is like really functional parent shit. It's like it does a great job of structuring it the right way. Because like when you open that fucker up, it's gonna be to the middle. You know what I mean? Like the real tangible thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would have strongly considered a bull sweatsuit for sure. Like I would have like lingered in that area, been like, all right, Michael Jordan just coming to the Bulls. Like maybe I want a bull sweatsuit, and I might have spent the whole amount on like a Lego Technic set for sure. Like I was looking at the Lego Technic set hard.
Technics, what's Technics?
So the Lego Technic were like the automated version of the Legos. Like they were the more nerdy, like they had gears and stuff that were
motors and shit.
Yeah,
I had this plate. Did you ever have Capsella?
No, what is that?
Capsella was the same idea. They were these clear plastic balls that had like motors in them and propellers and shit that you could do, and they had like yellow thing. Basically, you could make vehicles and shit out of these little capsules and stuff. Same concept. And they even had like, I remember they had these big yellow things that like allowed it to sit on water, kind of like you create a hovercraft, So there were that same concept I had, just not in Lego brand.
Nice. Yeah, probably similar thing with Technic. Just like, hey, we're upping the gang beyond what you can do with just Legos. But like I would have taken a hard look at that. But being in 1988 and not having an NES yet, I would have just skipped ahead and likely, like, I would have taken a hard look at the handheld gaming toys, but they were very basic at the time, like football, baseball. They're very
Tiger
basic.
Electronics. I got some Tiger shit in mine is action here as well.
I would have likely just went with a couple of Tiger games at the end of the day. Like,
okay.
I would have looked at everything else and been like, video games win.
Which games? You didn't pick exact games?
So you could only get like two, like, depending on the price, which we know for Atari games could be up like $34.99. So I'm getting only one or two. So I would have looked at like winter games. I would have looked at that one,
and this is 7800 we're talking, right?
78,
because they had the XE in here too for $150, which is like.
But that was like, I don't even remember that. Like I remember it. Like I only vaguely remember that being.
That's the one I told you my cousin had that I thought was something and that it wasn't, and it had that barnyard shooter game that my cousin, if my cousin didn't have that, I've never seen it anywhere else. So yeah, that was just it's funny to me how like Atari dedicated my family was. Like I said, we had the 2600.
It was the biggest at the time before Nintendo took over.
Sure. But like I don't know. It's weird to me how much Atari action was in my mom's side of the family. Is odd to me. But
yeah, I mean, so yeah, I probably would have got like Summer Games or Karateka. One or two of those with like a little leftover, because Karateka was my game, and I don't know if I had it quite yet in 1988. So,
okay. Well, this is hypothetical. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Copy that. So just two Atari games. I mean, yeah. I have I certainly looked at the Nintendo thing and thought, but to me,
because I didn't have a Nintendo, so it was kind of like I can't pick the Nintendo games.
Sure. But you know me though. I want to min-max everything. So I went through this and I certainly looked at the Nintendo page, but I was like, no, I want to get more bang for my buck here than one Nintendo game is going to give me, right? So I pieced together, I think, an incredibly multifaceted way to spend that $46, and I'm pretty proud of it. So to start with, I'm dropping $5 on that Dominique Wilkins poster on page 233. Nice. That's $5 down, and it's him. It's doing that. He's doing that a dunk where he's like in a V shaped. So it's like he's so high above the rim. It's such a good Dominique Wilkins shot. So I would get that for the wall, of course. I am 100% getting the multi-lab chemistry set on page 363, and this is I fucking am 1,000% certain. This is the same brand of chemistry set I had as a kid, but mine didn't come with the microscope. I actually had to steal one that is later in the magazine, or later in this catalog, which sidebar made me think, like, how much shit in this catalog? Like, weird shit. Like, the Microsoft, in fact, is a Sears brand microscope. So I was looking at this thinking, like, God damn, my family was on the Sears fucking catalog for sure. There is. They ordered a lot of shit out of this that, like, there's just no way we ever would have saw in a retail context for them to have bought it anywhere but here, So that was funny to me to realize. But yes, so this chemistry set is like a smaller one, and the one I had way more death-defying chemicals in it to play with. So death-defying, but definitely the same brand. I remember like the little containers that the chemicals came in. These little four or five compartment fucking container things. Like, I remember it so specifically, and just like the fucking test tube holder, all that shit is fucking all 100% the chemistry set I had, and that made me excited there. So that's a 20 spot, big purchase, but well worth it in my opinion. And then on the same page, they have rock tumblers for $15. Did you have a rock tumbler as a kid?
I did not. My kids have them, but I never had one as a kid.
Really? Yeah, that's amazing that still exists. Okay. So, fucking, I had one for sure. I'm not going to do it here, but I looked at it and thought about it for $15. It just didn't make sense in the overall grand scheme of me trying to maximize it, having two science things like that. But I definitely had one of those and made tons of that shitty-ass jewelry for sure out of the dumb-ass shitty rocks they give you for that. Nice. So, I remember playing with that fucking shit a ton at my grandparents' house. So I also could have blown my whole load on reclaiming that Speak and Read. That's the yellow one I had as a kid. That's on page 407. But again, you got to be responsible with my piggy bank here, I think. And $43.99 for one of those things. Like, that's a lot, man. That's a whole week of 1600s mercenary wages, Jay.
I don't know if that's worth it.
Yeah, but I had one of those. I even had I remember I had one of the like expansion packs you had to slide up into the battery compartment to, like, I don't know, expand the vocabulary of the thing. But yeah, I was surprised at how expensive those were. Back to Tiger handhelds. That is on page 436, and I would spend the $10 that costs to get the pinball one, which is the one I had. That and Double Dragon as a kid were the two Tiger handhelds I had. The pinball game was pretty fucking good, dude. It was a pretty good pinball game, and obviously pinball lends itself to that simple little screen, even if you're just talking about different fucking places that little LCD dot could be, on the screen, which isn't probably every fucking as many as it should be to play a pinball game, but it was enough I remember liking that a lot. And even after I had Double Dragon, I remember I would prefer to play the pinball one, so it's better than the Double Dragon.
Yeah, that's fair. Because you think Double Dragon, you have Double Dragon in your mind, and it's still a Tiger handheld.
Right, for sure. And I was very limited what you could do. It was just a side scroller. I mean, all those fucking licensed games were side scroller. Yeah, it just wasn't that great. So $10 was a fair price for that. And I looked at the NES games on 442 and 443, but, can't be dropping your whole nut on that. The cheapest one was $29.99, and Simon's Quest specifically was $44.99, so I could have literally got Simon's Quest for the whole amount if I wanted to score that. The last thing I actually would have bought, is the Micro Machines Auto Body Shop fold-up playset on $4.59.
Oh,
so these were only $6, dude.
That's
these were only
crazy.
$6, and they are like.
Crazy.
Did you have the ones that were like they were a little clamshell deal?
Yeah, those things are awesome, man.
And you built a little building on it, and they each came with one car that was like themed with whatever the fuck the playset was, and there were a ton of them. I didn't actually have neither one of these were ones the auto body one, and the other one was like I can't remember what the other one in the catalog was, but I mean I probably had, dude, at least a dozen of these. And like there was like a construction one with like a little fucking conveyor belt. I remember putting dirt in and like twisting the fucking thing, and it's like a conveyor belt to take the dirt up into the fucking processor or whatever. And it came with a dump truck you could park underneath the thing for the dirt to fall into. Just so fucking cool, man. I remember I had a fish and chips one, like a fish and chips drive-through that was fucking awesome. Yeah, just so many of those, and they were so cool. And they all interlocked. That was the amazing thing about them. They were built so you could snap them together and create like a whole city playset. You know what I mean? And that was just so fucking cool. Such a cool toy idea. And yeah, the fact they were $6 for one of those is such a good deal. So
right. That seems unusually cheap.
Right. So yeah, I absolutely fucking would have got that. Nice. And that to me would have been a pretty great fucking haul, I think, for $46. All of that. And I even would have had a few bucks left over to help mom and dad out with the shipping and handling costs that would have been required to get that to get that to the house. You know, so
how thoughtful of you.
Absolutely, that was always me as a thoughtful child, hoarding my toys. You can look up, or whether we have the link to this wish book if you don't want to dig through the internet and archive yourself, in the show notes. That is Bloody Tears. Bringing us into our playthrough of Simon's Quest on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And Jay, I can't believe that it took me yelling at you about trying to steal my music to get Bloody Tears included in your 3 musical selections. I think we would have had a fucking mutiny amongst the Lurk disciples had Bloody Tears not played during the course of this podcast.
Yeah, I definitely, when I picked it after the fact, I was kind of like, oh, I just kind of skipped over this one. Normally I go track by track, but I think I was just like, all right, picking that one, we're good. Like, they're solid.
Don't get me wrong. The track you had in its place, we will get to, and I agree, it's a better song than this, despite what the overarching belief set might be about what is the actual banger on the soundtrack. But nonetheless, there would have been some pushback, I think. So they get the cinema theme rolling right away here at the top or after you fire the deck up, and the first thing on the screen is a piece of blue film stock with the Simon's Quest box cover title treatment dominating it, and the Konami logo in full color up above the film stock, some red legalese and push start key below it on the film stock, and a brief moment of ogling this will allow it to roll down the film strip to a prologue blurb that reads, "Step into the shadows of the Hell House. You've arrived back here at Transylvania on business." That's great. to destroy forever the curse of the evil Count Dracula. It'll just alternate scrolling to this and the title screen, all in silence, despite the presence of many an OST banger to choose from. That quickly changes after hitting start, though, as the Game Start password option set is presented along with the Message of Darkness track. Konami is coming correct with the password entry screen. It further scored with that banger track. The top half of the screen is like these large arched windows of what's probably a church, and the Transylvania mountains can be seen in the distance with a purplish dust sky up above them. And the password system is an alphanumeric, but capital letters only, so the only real confusion to possibly be had is the O0 thing, even though the 0 has the dash through it, as is customary. No passwords for us, though. We just want to roll into a new game, so we will elect Game Start from that menu, and when you select that, they give you a nice dramatic fading out of Message of Darkness before cutting to the Game Start Player 3 text on a black card that precedes gameplay, And when that does pop up, it starts with a pan down of a sunlit brick building until the camera, in quotations, lands on Simon, keeping that ever-present cinematic vibe going. And then the Silence of Daylight track also rips in here. Keep telling yourself that previously heard Bloody Tears is the banger on this OST, Power Player. This song is a fucking crank, and I love it. It is so good. So, good choice, Jay, even though people would have been pissed off. So let's play some Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. It's the same Castlevania controls shit, different broken Castlevania Nintendo tape. And A is that stiff-ass jump that either Simon or Trevor always has in these games. You have zero mid-air control over it. When you're not moving, or rather, if you're not moving when you hit A, you jump straight up and come straight back down no matter what D-pad input you offer to the gaming gods while he is in the air. And if you're moving forward when you hit it, you're going to execute the same parabola arc jump every time, and there is no altering that destiny once you begin said jump. There is also no pressure sensitivity to the jump. It's the same height no matter what button depression duration you offer it, so just maybe the worst jump in fucking video games, I think. Or in Nintendo video games, anyways. Well, you know, there are broken ones like Strider.
Like, there's definitely worse.
Yeah, there's worse. It sucks, though. It's fucking awful, and I fucking hate it, and it's always a problem, and it's very frustrating. You get used to it, and you learn to deal with it, but even no matter how accustomed to it you might get, you're going to have a time or two playing this entire game where he does something, you're like, God damn it! That's not what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Which maybe happens in any platformer, I suppose, but here it feels worse because you have no control once the, you know, leap of destiny begins, and that is just very frustrating.
Yeah, you can't control yourself in the air. You can't like jump and turn
Nothing.
to like hit an enemy that comes up behind you as you jump. You're just out of luck.
Yeah.
Once you start that jump, you're on that jump.
Yep, you are on a collision course with whatever the fuck was happening when you hit it. So, B deploys your whip attack. This can be done while jumping, thankfully. B also interacts with friendlies, talking to them for their potentially bum intel. Holding up and hitting B is how you pop off whatever special weapon you have selected at the moment in your subscreen. Going up and down steps still sucks, as it always has in both the other games, and will happen, like, you'll be meaning to duck sometimes, and you'll go down some fucking steps, and then your head will still be popped up, and you'll get hit by the thing you were trying to duck under or for, and just awful thing too. I hate that. The step stuff is very frustrating. You can't jump while you're on the steps, also sucks, and you can attack while glued to them, but the idea that there's no jumping of any kind. And like, you know, I mean, practically, it would be dangerous to jump on a set of steps. Sure. Tough to know where you're going to land and shit.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you want to dock me a bit of HP when I land even, I'd still rather be able to do that than no option whatsoever, because there are times when that's a problem. It's less of a thing here for something we've already touched on, because this game is not an action game, and it doesn't really force you into those situations nearly as often as 1 and 3 do. But
yeah.
It's still present, and you will have at least a few instances where you're like, I didn't even want to go down these steps. I want to fucking jump all on them, and I hate that you don't give me that option.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. I was actually very much surprised that that it wasn't the same level of frustration with the steps that I had remembered in the other games. Because to your point, like, yes, you can whip when you're on the steps. You can't jump or anything, so that kind of sucks. But for the most part, I was able to just wait for the thing to move and move up the steps. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't as punitive where it felt like in the other games. There's always going to be something flying at you when you're on the steps, like all the time.
That's maybe to be said. I don't have that written anywhere in my notes. And that's not to say there's no flying enemies in this game, but to the credit, or to the point of what I think we'll both say a lot, that is an action game mechanic that it's not the focus of the game, and they don't force it on you nearly as much. I mean, fucking yeah, there's, you know, there's the crows and like the whatever
Those are
that
annoying.
those dead
dive
woods or whatever.
bombs.
Right? Yeah. So there's when the game gets really hard late game, you have some of those that become a thing a little bit maybe, but not nearly as much as you have in other Castlevania games. So that's all I think a common focus or commonly design focus thing that it's just not trying to put you in conflict moment to moment nearly as much as most Castlevania games do. Select is a standard pause of the game. Start brings up what the manual terms the multi-screen, i.e. submenu. That is where most of our HUD action resides. In here we have the total gameplay time, your experience accumulated and level, and hearts you've picked up. We start with 50 to begin the game. From the manual, there's a passage that reads, remember, these increase your experience rating and the number of times a weapon or magical item can be used. Hearts are also used as money to buy weapons and magical items. So actually 3 systems tied to this one resource, and that is a lot. And yeah, that is where, again, I just used this was not by design, but I just used the terminology in conflict, and that applies to this. This is where it puts you in conflict. It puts you in cognitive conflict of how to employ this one resource you have, or being able to use the equipment or being able to buy the equipment. Like that is a constant push-pull you have. And that's interesting. That's a very interesting design choice that I'm not sure I can think of elsewhere. So good on them for finding a way to make you think in a game that maybe without that could have been lacking in strategy.
It's interesting though, because I didn't really use, like, until I got the gold knife and stuff, I didn't even really use the
right. And Holy Water doesn't take it, thankfully. They thought
exactly.
They thought of that, so yeah,
exactly. And that's one thing I remembered, from a Castlevania games. Like, I got to be able to break the brick. So once I realized the Holy Water was the way to do that, and that it didn't require hearts, and it was like, all right, well, I'll just use the Holy Water. The knives take up too much.
Holy Water spamming process. Yeah, this is like spamming that shit everywhere. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, that's a part of the gameplay. Also worth talking about this timer, as it is a big part of gameplay. There are 3 two-digit numbers separated by colons, but it is not exactly intuitive, I don't think. The right digits correspond to seconds passing in the game. It clicks back over to 0 at 60, or when it hits 60. The middle digits are hours in a day, I guess, which in turn means that 1 minute of real time equals 1 hour of game time, and that clicks over at 24, and then the left digits are days passed. This goes up and up and up, one by one, every time you go through 24 hours. So, yeah, it's not just like a whatever, just digits going up and clocks the next one when it hits fucking 9, So that is to be deciphered before you have an understanding of how the fucking gameplay time works. At the game start, I thought very interestingly, the timer is at 14, it's at 00, 14, 00. So you start at 2 p.m. on day 1. You don't start at sunrise or whatever, which is interesting. What the fuck's he doing all day? What the fuck's he doing all day? You're starting him on this fucking thing, sleeping in. This is not the day to sleep in, Simon. Get the fuck out of bed.
What are you doing?
Yeah, get the fuck out of bed, man. You got fucking 7 days to fucking make this curse. This is not the time to lollygag, dude. Yeah, that was funny to me. That what the fuck are you starting late on day 1 for, man?
Oh my gosh.
What the fuck? There are 3 different endings to this game, and which of those you experience depends on your day count. So again, hugely critical part of this video game. So the simplest way to break these down is good, normal, bad, and we'll talk about this later. There are questions to be had about how these break out, and maybe this was a bum design execution by Konami, or the team anyways, and we'll talk about that at the in-game stuff. But just as far as those 3 classifications go, if you complete the game in 7 days or less, so really it's 7 days and change. You have up until the start of the 8th day to catalyze this ending. And then the normal ending is from clicking over to 8 days through the end of 14 days, gets you the normal ending. And then the bad ending is once you hit 15 days on this timer, that's what you get. And the whole story-based rationale for this kind of breakdown is at 15 days, if you have not dispelled Dracula's curse, you are overtaken by it. And the interim normal period, 8 to 14 days, is the curse. You said you're only given 7 days to fucking make it go away to be able to survive it. But that interim period, the idea, I think, is that you are able to finish the job but you still pass away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, that's not how it's shaken. Like if you really dissect those in-game screens, there's a lot to be said about that, and that's not really how it breaks out. But theoretically, I think that's what they were going for as far as that breakdown. The whip type you're rolling with is shown in the second box. Both it's spelled out in text and has a fun little icon for each one. And then the third box down has the Dracula bits you've obtained, one of which can be selected as equipped at any given time. And this is also where the crystal you have at the moment, if any, is shown. You do not need to select that, though. You just do whatever the thing is that you're able to do when you have that crystal in your possession. And the bottom box is loaded with equipment info. The top row is all your weapons and mystical items, as well as the oak stake on the far right, if you have any of the above. The bottom row has 2 counters, medicinal herb doses on the left and garlic cloves on the right. Your life meter is omnipresent in the upper left corner of the screen, whether you're on the submenu or not. So that is the only thing that obscures our gameplay view when you're out actioning around. So that's cool, I think, that they, like, again, kind of lend itself to the cinema thing, like full screen, 16:9 or 4:3, whatever, fucking experience of the world, you know. And you start with a vertical bar of 12 red dashes that turn white as your health depletes. The number of units increase as your level increases throughout the game. So what now? Once I'd gotten all that crack control and HUD analysis out of the way and had to turn my attention to playing this video game, I found myself completely paralyzed with indecision on how to proceed. And, you know, I was like thinking about like how much I'd played this game as a kid, like, which is a lot, man. I have like started this game so many times, but I'd never beaten it. And I don't think I'd ever really, after playing the whole thing, maybe 2 mansions. I don't think I'd ever even maybe I'd gotten the eye at some point, but there's no way I had ever gotten past the midpoint of this game for sure. Because yeah, once you started having to backtrack and shit, you don't, unless you're really thinking about it. And having that map was so helpful too in the Nintendo Power, just to understand the landscape. And like once you are kind of looking at the POIs on that map and understanding where you're going, and then it tells you do this, like, okay, and then I gotta go, oh, like it all made so much sense to me to have that map and be able to visualize what this track means, because, you know, in the game, you're kind of just going that one way most of the time anyways, and then you'll hit the few branching paths. There's really not that many of them, but in game, if you're not looking at a map to help you visualize it all, I think it's very discombobulating and really hard just to have an understanding of geographically where you're at, you know. So that was so helpful, I think, to getting a handle on how to play this fucking thing. So that was nice a nice tool throughout here. So yeah, I mean, even from the start though, like I should have had a like do this first thing in my mind, but I did not, and that was also, I mentioned this when you were texting and kind of confused in the beginning. Like, having the Nintendo Power, which is always what their intent was with those, and it was funny to have it so useful in the same way it would have been useful to me in 1988, you know? It's so useful in present day, too, just to get you thinking in the syntax of this video game and understanding what you need to do just to get traction, you know what I mean? And then once I had the traction, it was off to the races and I was having a blast. But, like, early on, I was very much like, what the fuck do I do? I mean, you have far fewer start this game and not finish it than me, I'm assuming. Like, what was your early game thing like? Did you turn, I mean, it sounded like maybe you didn't turn straight to the Nintendo Power, that you could try to just kind of crank into it. And
well, I jumped into it, but I definitely, like, I think I started and I said, okay, I'm going to talk to these people. I'm going to buy my whip and my white crystal. And then I moved on. You know, I just kept, and just, you know, was going. But then I don't remember what it was. I think I maybe got to a place, like the next town or something. And I was just kind of like, maybe I should open up the Nintendo to see what's in there. And then from there, I just kind of went back to the beginning of it and said, okay, I need to, like, basically follow this guide and live and die by this going forward. And that's when it was like, oh, there was holy water in the first town. Like, where was that? Like, I didn't even see, like, how did I, like, because the frustrating thing was I went through the first town, I thought, like, day and night. And so I thought I had gotten everything. So the fact that I somehow missed the holy water was like, are you freaking kidding me? And so at that point I was like, I am just going to follow this guide until I can't follow the guide any further. And that changed everything. That it made it much more clear. Like, okay, I go to the right, I'm heading this place. I go to the left, I'm heading there. Like, okay, so I very much followed it after that. So I would have been lost without it.
For sure. They even... Because again, like the core thing that your core objective in this game is to just find the 13 clues. Like, yeah, you got to get the items too, but that's that's kind of just cursory. Like you're going to go through those things and you're going to get those things almost with no effort. You're railroaded into acquiring those items almost. So really, the challenge of the game is, yes, finding all those clues and knowing how to deal with those puzzle moments. You know what I mean? And the way the Nintendo Power kind of weans you off getting those is, I think, intelligent design too. The first mansion tells you exactly, it shows you, it circles where they are in the fucking, on the map. The second one just tells you, I think, that there are, how many there are. It doesn't show you where they are, it tells you that you're there and how many there are, so you know you have to get the 2 or 3 or whatever it is in the second mansion. And the third one, I don't think it mentions them at all, but you've been taught that you better be looking for them because they're here. You know, there are some here. In fact, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but by the way this was, the way the Nintendo Power was treating them, I was under the impression, or I was tracked into, kind of errantly, this is maybe a criticism, that they were only located in the mansions, and they're not. There's a handful of them out in the wild as well that are equally as if not more important. And here's the thing, they fucking, even now, I told you, I was in 1988 the kid that is best suited maybe to play this game the way they wanted it to be played. I'm fucking 30 years older now, 35 years older now. And even though those townspeople told me there were clues in Algeba Woods and wherever the fuck else, I thought it was bullshit. And I didn't actually check those areas the way thoroughly that I did check the mansions, knowing that I had to fence test everything in those fucking things. And I should have been listening to those people and fence testing the places that I was told to fence test as well, and I would have found all those ones out in the wild too, but I did not going through initially, so I was missing information. I thought I finished the game almost thinking that this game didn't tell you everything, that there were shortcomings, and that's not correct. Because I eventually, only after I finished the game actually, I was talking to Ian, and he mentioned something about some clue being out in the wild, and I was like, are they out in the wild? I thought that was bullshit. He's like, no. I was like, oh shit, and I googled fucking the list of all 13 clues, and sure enough, there were ones and places that was so frustrating to see. Yeah, I mean, once you know the syntax of how they're hidden, you don't really have to fence test everything. There's only certain kinds of block formations that they can be hidden in. It's not like everything can be broken.
So they were hidden in blocks in the open world too? Because yes. I definitely missed the clues in the open world, and I didn't... Like, I know one of them was supposedly a tree, but I definitely wasn't fence testing.
Well, the tree one is bullshit, actually. The one that it says it's up in it, you can't get it up in any trees in these. You can't. There's no. Yeah, I'm like, what? There's no verticality to these levels at all. So that one was actually bullshit. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. Okay, so anyways, I just dug out the literature of antiquity and got going with my starter pack and did the same thing as you to get rolling here and get a feel for it. So we start in town of Jova. This is where the walkthrough starts. So I was wrong about Ian Vero. My initial thought, like looking at the map, was like, even to start, I was like, oh, fucked up where I thought I was starting the game. So again, just my understanding of it, bad to date before playing it for the pod here. So talk to us, Jay, about the Nintendo Power description for Jova.
Your tale of adventure begins in the little town of Jova. If you charge off to find the parts of Dracula without talking to the people here first, your efforts will be fruitless. Be sure to collect as many hearts as you can. You'll need them to buy invaluable weapons. But the hearts are not easy to come by. You must earn them with courage and skill as you do battle with Dracula's legions.
And Jova is along the southern border of the map. And it's just a mountain range away from the Castlevania castle. So it's that Dragon Warrior effect of like, there's
right
your
there.
Yeah, there's you can't see it in the same way you can in Dragon Warrior necessarily. It should have been. That would have been cool. That would have been a very cool design decision. Is if when you went out into the woods, you could see Castlevania in the fucking, that would have been a really cool choice, but only so many bits. They explain we should acquire the white crystal with our $50 on hand, and that we should get the thorn whip and holy water here as well before moving on. And you can go to the enemy-filled areas to the left or right of town to do this grinding. I believe they are told Belasco Marsh is to the left, and we are warned here to beware of this choice until we gain great power. So they're kind of steering you away from going left here. And then they also explicitly tell you to go right, I guess. But Jova Woods is to the right, and this is the best bet for stacking paper, we are told. I think that's wrong, though. I think actually the best place to stack paper is in... The problem is you got to wait till nightfall, and you waste 4 hours if you do this. But...
Yep.
And time's, of course, critical in this game. But the fucking zombies in town are super easy to grind on. And far and away, throughout this game, I would say, they are the best solution for grinding. If you can make it make sense in your clock situation, you know what I mean? Obviously, if you got to wait 12 hours to fucking grind on these things, that's probably bad. And you need to buy something in this town, and you don't want to come back. Like, it's probably bad resource management to do that. But anytime you can, grinding on the zombies is easier because you can just walk back and forth in those towns and they respawn. You know what I mean? So it's much faster, much more efficient, and those things are easy. Even when they require more hits as the game moves on. But one, your weapon's getting better to kind of offset that, and two, they're super. They just move on the ground. They don't do shit, so they're easier to deal with in general. You know what I mean? Their movement set. So. It is explained you can go to the church to replenish your health if it gets low in this endeavor, and the priest inside is a unique sprite that says, rest here for a while when you speak to him, and then your life bar fills up. And did you listen to Sensei and do these things? Or did you just, you kind of said you battle maged right off and then...
I bought the white, I bought the white crystal because that was the first thing that the first person...
I don't do that. I actually get the whip. I save up for the whip first because...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I got the white crystal and then got the whip like right after whatever order I did it in. I got those two and then I just left. Like I walked around. I think I meandered around the town, somehow missing the holy water part, but enough to like, I think I might have even left and come back because it went to nighttime and I was fighting maybe to grind it up enough to buy both. Maybe that was the case. But then I left. So I had to come back later and get the holy water when I realized that it could not be bought elsewhere.
Yep, absolutely. So this game affords us a little taste of a side quest segment, Townsfolk Chatter. So let's excitedly cover the ruminations offered up by the residents before moving on. We have a crooked trader is offering bum deals in this town. And I don't know what that is.
I don't know who he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean... One, I think they're all pretty good value. What they're selling within the economy that we outlined in the economic analysis. I think all the things are priced fine, and they're all useful items. Nothing's useful, or useless, rather. So, I don't know what's up with that. Another cat says, clues to Dracula's riddle are in the town of Veros, so we are told a destination to seek out from here. Copy that, so I've given a POI. And then we are told a flame is on top of the 6th tree in Denise Woods, and that's highly specific, so I thought that was bullshit the second I heard it. But yeah, you can't get into treetops. That doesn't exist. So I don't think that's actually pointing at anything. Another says, rumor has it the ferryman at Dead River loves garlic. Another says, a magic potion will destroy the wall of evil. So that's telling you the holy water thing, if you put the pieces together. Yep. You have a friend in the town of Aldra. Go and see him. That's another POI tip-off. All right. And here, this is it. Fucking thesis stated right in the first fucking village. 13 clues will solve Dracula's riddle. So that, again, gives you your list. Write down 13 and go find them. That's how you beat Dracula, is get the 13 clues. So you're given your mission right at the beginning of the game. And that is good game design.
If you view it that way. I did not view it that way. It was kind of just like, all right, there's 13 clues. We'll see what happens.
And yeah, I mean, that's the thing, dude, is a game like this, I've always thought of them that way, is just like, it's cursory. I don't need that shit, you know. But that's it. That's the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. Like it's all there. They designed it. It's not their fault
You're such a dev apologist, Josh.
Yeah. I'm not. Usually I'm the one talking.
I know. This is what's going on here.
Right. Yeah, so first thing to do in this town is buy a white crystal. Like you said, you're told that. You did that. And I do not do that first, but I understand the need to get it, of course. We're not going to come back. It's not to be found elsewhere. So yeah, I got my first day-night cycle click over before I could even talk to everyone. So these happen pretty fast and made me think about how it works. So my time, you start at 14, like I said, and my timer was at 18. It was 00:18:00 when this first occurred. So 6 p.m. basically is when the sun sets here in Transylvania at this time of year, I guess. A dialogue box pops up. It reads, "What a horrible night to have a curse." The screen dips to black before fading back in with everything in town bathed in a blue-purple moonlight hue. And the nocturnal curse monster dance fires up. All the townsfolk retreat to their pads after this happens, and the green sprites that I believe are the zombie in the manual breakdown appear to hassle you. 2 cracks of the basic bitch whip to frag those, and they will drop half hearts, which seemed very dependable to me. I would say at least half of the time, probably 50% of the time, they actually do a drop heart or a heart drop for you. So these are essentially worth $4 a pop, or $2, I guess, maybe if you do that total math. And that is a great grinding situation, I think, for early game, as I mentioned. So yeah, they just mindlessly skate forward without any bipedal physics presenting themselves at all, even though they're supposedly zombies. They don't seem to move on legs, so they're like hovering, you know, whatever.
More ghost-like.
Right, yeah, I'm not going to be a fucking Castlevania cop here, I guess. At least not in that regard. I was able to stack 140 more hearts against these Nimrods before morning, so that's 190, basically everything I need to buy here by morning of the first night. And then you can get the fuck out of here. Pop over to the woods, get last 10, and go back. And I actually found a glitch spot. Like I said, once I'd learned this, I would employ it in all future towns where I would grind. I found a glitch spot at the top of the rightmost staircase on the 3rd level, where basically walking, I mean, it was like, what was it? Like maybe 3 blocks or something like that, back and forth, would queue another one at my back. Yeah, and it was just super quickly stack fucking hearts that way. So I would also level up while doing this. So that is one of the core game functions of this that is pretty interesting, very unique, and certainly not intuitive. So let us discuss that. When you level up, everything freezes and your sprite flashes white for a beat, and then I went Googling for more information of how it works. So at its core, leveling up grants you more health units and increases your damage resistance. So it just takes less damage when you get hit.
Right.
And there are 6 leveling up opportunities in the game, each being in the roads between one mansion and the next. At least that's how it's written. I don't think it actually works out that way, but
wait, say that again?
Exactly. So it's not, you can't just sit and grind in one spot and get to level 7 at the beginning of the game. Like, that is not possible. So you're only at its core, and again, I never was able to get, and I kind of felt like in-game it didn't work exactly this way either, but to some degree or another, this is the idea. There are 6 leveling up opportunities, each one being on the road, between one mansion and the next mansion. So you can only level up one time on the road between each Dracula part is kind of the idea. And further, the leveling is based on hearts accumulated, not just killing shit. So if you don't get a heart for the kill you just made, no experience is accumulated, right? So the amount for each level that you have to stack for the level up in that segment of the game goes level 1's 100, level 2's 150, level 3's 200, level 4 250, 5 300, level 6 350. And these are standalone amounts. So i.e. level 2 is another 150 hearts you have to cop while on the road between mansions 1 and 2, not 50 more than the 100 you got to level 1 if you didn't spend them or whatever. Like, that's not relevant. The acquisition of the heart, whether you spend it or not, is not a factor, and it's a total new number each time. And I found a game FAQ, OK Records 1138, that gave tips for the best grinding spots to not miss any leveling opportunities. And that's the thing. If you don't, theoretically, if this works as it's explained and how I was perceiving it, you can miss level up opportunities if you don't do that leveling up in the window of geography that you need to do it in. Does that make sense?
That's so
it is.
Weird,
it's super weird, dude. It's super unique. And yeah, so This guy says, or this account said, level 1, the werewolves in Jova Forest, which, like I said, is a suck plan, do it with the zombies instead. But either way, start of the game, you can make this happen before you get to the first mansion. Level 2 says to grind on the first 2 skeletons on the first screen after the castle, then go back off screen and come back. But, yeah, kind of theoretically, you basically want to find the earliest grinding spot you can find after each castle, and you won't miss any of these, because you, of course, want to be at level 7 for the end of the game. I would never get there. I think I only got to level 4 ultimately, and I was fine, but if you want to min-max, that is the work you have to do, So
that's so unnecessary. Like,
yeah.
I feel like if I had got, spoiler alert, to Dracula at level 7, it would have taken 1 dagger and the game would have been over.
Well,
I don't even know.
That wouldn't have mattered, because it does not change your attack power. Attack power is a completely unique variable as well. That is tied exclusively to your whip. This only leveling up only gives you more life,
more health, yeah,
and take less damage. It has nothing to do with your attack power.
Yeah.
So that's how leveling up works, if you can fucking make sense of that. And a dialogue box reading "The morning sun has vanquished the horrible night" pops up when we hit 6 a.m. the next day, and that is how the day-night cycle works for the rest of the game, as many days as it takes you. So we can also talk commerce here in this first town, RPG side quest style. Some doorways in town are open. Going inside these houses will sometimes have the merchant sprite inside against the back wall. This is a gray-cloaked figure most of the time, if not all of the time in towns. And the first one I dealt with, funny enough, much to your malign probably, said, "Want to buy holy water?" And then below that is the icon of the item next to the heart asking price, and you can choose to transact or not. And here we can find the holy water for 50 hearts. The thorn whip is 100. And there is a dude walking around in the street outside the holy water vendor peddling the white crystal for a 50 spot as Nintendo Power highlighted. So 200 hearts to spend here to get all 3 of those things. And yeah, holy water is a critical item to have. When selected, you toss out vials of it to check for floor traps. The sprite will just pass through these without a breaking sound effect when you found one, basically, so you know to jump over them. And you can also reveal hidden items in walls and floors. These are clue books primarily, but there are a few exceptions. There's the Sacred Flame is one for sure. I don't know if there's any others or not offhand, but you definitely need them to find the clue books throughout the game. And yeah, it doesn't take any hearts. That's fucking critical. So to spam the shit out of everything with it is basically the best way to play Simon's Quest. And in the Thorn Whip here, we can get into the fucking way the attack power does increase. The Thorn Whip is a ×2 to your attack power. So if you think about it like the base whip does 1 damage, the Thorn Whip does 2 damage, and then the Chain Whip doubles that, so 4 damage, and then the Morning Star does 8 damage, so doubles the Chain Whip damage, and has a longer attack reach. And then the Flame Whip, which is just the Morning Star set on fire, interestingly does 15 damage instead of 16. I don't know what the fuck's up with that. Some sort of funny math limitation there, probably. And has the same extended reach, but that powerhouse requires heart expenditure. So that is an interesting thing, that your whip attack starts taking... And honestly, saying that, I wrote that down, and that's definitely supposedly true. I don't know if I felt that way playing the game. Yeah, I don't know if I felt that. Granted, hearts become less of a thing late game because you're not buying shit anymore. So maybe that is why. But yeah, I don't feel like that might have been the case. That's interesting as well.
I don't know. It kind of makes sense though, because it was very weird for me thinking about leveling, and like for most of the game when I leveled up, I just assume, okay, I didn't even clock the whole thing, so I just assume, all right, I've got 100 hearts, or I got the next like heart level, whatever. Right. And obviously because it refills your health when that happens, so it's like, oh sweet, I leveled up, great. So like the first couple times it happened, great, it just happened on its own. I thought no more about it. It wasn't until like much later in the game when I think I'd collected almost everything, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to finish this before like day 15. I got super hyper vigilant about like the time. Like I can't spend any time. I gotta like go back and forth because it wasn't until we had talked later. Like I didn't want to spoil it. What gave each ending at first, so I was just playing the game. But then after we talked, I was like, all right, I don't want to look it up. All right, fine, I'll look it up. So I looked it up, and then I was like, wait a minute, I've gone through at least 6 of these like that I can think of day-night cycles already. And so it wasn't until that point that I learned that in the castles or whatever they're called,
time does not tick. Yeah, in the village houses or in the mansions, time does not tick. So yeah.
So once I realized that, I grinded in like one of the last ones and got to level 4. Yeah, I got to level 4, and that's where I stopped.
Grinding in the castles, though. That's a fantastic idea. I did not think about. That's a great.
Oh
idea,
yeah, I was like, this is sweet. Why didn't I do this before? But then, like, once I got out, I didn't catch or didn't notice that my hearts were dropping until I started using the golden knife again. Because I was like, how come I'm not grinding? I can't get further. Like it stopped me at 256 hearts, and I just couldn't get any more. So I was like, why? Yeah, at level 4, I literally wouldn't pick up another heart, and I kept being like, why can't I get?
You need more than that. You need more than that. So I guess you got to spend them.
You got to spend it.
I guess. Well, also maybe because again, it's just the acquisition, not the possession. So maybe. That's also irrelevant.
Oh, maybe I was getting them, but they're not registering. Either way, I couldn't tell if anything was happening. So I said,
"It's interesting that they max out at 256. That's 100% a math thing. That's
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. So I ended up going to Dracula at level 4 just because I felt like I don't know if I can progress further. Without
I was also
just,
at level
spamming
4.
Stuff.
I was also level 4. Yeah. So yeah, I wonder what because there is late game. It gets weird. The time between mansions gets a little weird. You don't have, if you don't stop and grind, so that's interesting that we both ended on level 4, probably without any like real attention. I definitely forgot about it. You get going and I wasn't thinking about that late game. I was thinking about the fucking story and shit. So yeah, that is interesting that we both ended up there. Huh. Well, moving out of Varus or Jova, which one was that?
Jova was the first.
Yeah. So moving out of there, we go through Jova Woods, Southbridge, and Varos Woods. If you go right anyways, if you go to the marsh, you're just going to get murked probably. But if you go right, you go through those 3 things. And yeah, you're heading out of there. We encounter our first branching path situation. And if you take the stairs down, you hit the town of Varos. If you stay above ground, you arrive at Berkeley Mansion. And I chose to pop into the town of Varos first to gear up as much as possible before doing the Dracula tasks, even though Nintendo Power says hit the mansion first, because I presume it meant less backtracking and wasting of precious time. So, yeah, and going back to that, too, you were mentioning how you were afraid of looking it up. Like, I was able to justify doing that because I know that I'm playing the game for a podcast, and I'm going to fucking, canvas everything and write down everything. So I didn't want to completely fuck myself. And if I need to save state to be able to podcast and beat the game and enjoy myself, I was fine with doing that. So yeah, I didn't mind looking it up at all. And I in hindsight, great choice, because otherwise I absolutely would have went over the good ending amount, So, but I would say if you're not playing for a podcast and you're not trying to do everything and you have some semblance of what the fuck you're doing, beating it under 8 days is not terribly hard, I don't think.
Yeah, I could see especially if you knew where to go.
Yeah.
And you weren't kind of bouncing around like I was doing. Yeah, I feel like you could definitely get it done.
So the town of Varos, the description in Nintendo Power reads, from the little hamlet of Jova, you must wind. And these aren't just like descriptions of the towns. They're kind of telling the story in between them too, which is cool, I think, Turns it into a story and not just a manual description, which is nice. Covering, I think. So from the little hamlet of Jova, you must wind your way to the Jova Woods, across the South Bridge, and through the Varos Woods. As you meet and overpower enemies in the course of your journey, your might will greatly increase. You will need this extra strength as the mansion of Berkeley lies ahead, and no one has ever returned to tell the tale of what lies in this dreaded place. And Varos is a much smaller town, just 1 ground level, a few screens wide. Townsfolk chatter here reads, a rib can shield you from evil. So that's telling you that the rib is a shield, which you might not intuitively ascertain from the option in your menu. And even when you're holding it up in the game after you equip it, you might not realize that unless something bounces off of it, So that's a nice little piece of information, I think. You look pale, my son. You must rest in the church. So they're telling you, again, reminding you that the church does this, in case you didn't read your manual all too thoroughly. Laurels in your soup enhances its aroma, which is a weird way, I don't know, to tell you that you eat those and they do something for you. I don't know. Clues to Dracula's riddle are in the town of Alba. Clues to Dracula's riddle are in Berkeley Mansion. And are those both true? I think in the town of Alba, I don't think Alba's true. I don't know if there's one in Alba. I guess we'll get there later. But there are definitely some in Berkeley's Mansion, so that's a good tip to look for those. And you've got a friend waiting for you in the town of Algiba. So doing commerce here, the first door you encounter coming from Veros Woods appears empty, but if you holy water out the back wall, you will find a merchant selling you the base dagger for $50. Did you find this?
After I went back, yeah. Because when I went in there and I'm like, okay, there's a wall here. I can't bust through it. Where is it? So yeah, I went back, came back, then it was like, there we go.
Yeah. So I walked in here and I had exactly 150. So I wanted to save that for the chain whip and passed on this. And I'd never use the fucking thing anyhow. I am ABSHW, always be spamming holy water. So I'm never going to have a fucking dagger equipped, So I was just like, fuck, I don't need to buy that. Even though that is the crux of my entire economic analysis later. And then the last door you hit on your way to town towards Algiba Woods has a false floor the holy water will expose. A few stairways down to the basement, there's a chain whip guy pushing that chain whips onto young adventurers for $150 per dime bag. And the no shit Sherlock is what I'll call the clues sections henceforth. And there is one here that I actually did not find in my play, as I was under the impression clue books were only in the mansions, like I said. So, fucking, again, townsfolk told me, didn't listen. Just turned 44 years old, still too stupid. So, it's in the last floor, above the chain whip guy. And this is one of the few cases where I had to look it up when I was going through that clue list after I'd beaten the game. And when I saw where it was, I was like, I did not understand that kind of brick formation could or would be broken. Like in my mind, it would always have to be in a double width brick thing. So you wouldn't be completely taken out a wall or floor, unless the point was to go through the wall or floor to get somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
This one is literally in the floor, which is only one row of bricks above the merchant's head on the bottom floor. So if you're going down there in that space where I think this is where where the chain whip guy is, he's on the bottom floor. He's on the right-hand side. The stairs are on the left side of the room. Above his head on the right part of the floor, the side opposite where you go down the stairs, you can break those bricks, and there's a fucking clue in there to read. And I just never in a million years would have thought to test that because, again, I thought it had to be 2 bricks thick. And also, I wasn't even thinking they could be in towns yet, even though I was told that. So I just never would have found this, I don't think. Anyways, this reads, and this was critical because this is one of the things I was thinking it was devoid of information-wise. Clear a path to Berkeley Mansion with a white crystal. So they tell you have to have the white crystal to, for some reason or another, to get through Berkeley Mansion. So they tell you exactly how the white crystal is used, where you need it, and that you need it. You know what I mean? So while that's easily the most simple to realize you need something to get through of the 3 crystal moments, because when you get into Berkeley Mansion, it's that platform in the beginning that you can see. And if you don't have the crystal, you can't see that. So you walk in there and you're just like, there's no way to get into this fucking place, basically. I'm just jumping in the water and dying is the only thing I can do here without something. So, and the white crystal is so easily found, so most people don't even know that's what's revealing it, maybe, because you almost surely have the white crystal. It's forced onto you. You don't have to do anything to enact. You don't have to kneel down in this case. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of dummy-proofed to some degree. But again, God forbid, for whatever reason, you've traded your blue crystal, you're backtracking, you don't have the white crystal anymore, you can't get into that mansion, you're like, what the fuck? This is here. This tells you this. That's a hard as fuck clue to find. Sure. By clue finding standards. But if you have come to the understanding that you have to fence test everything, like you should in this game, you find that clue, you know what the white crystal's for, the information's here. You can't bitch, it's provided, no matter how hard or opaquely it might be tucked away.
So, thankfully, they dummy-proofed it because I did not find that clue where I'd need it. So, thankfully.
So, you don't want to keep going right here. You want to backtrack to Berkeley Mansion for sure now and knock that out. And the manual description for that, or the Nintendo Power description for that, rather, reads,
there are 5 mansions scattered about the land. This one was built by Dracula's less imaginative workers, so it is not too difficult to find your way. But beware of the darkest corners. It is told that past heroes have been trapped forever and gone mad in their futile attempts to escape.
And we are told here as well that there are 3 clue books, actually, and that will need the oak stake for a price to claim Dracula's rib before leaving. So, again, the framework of these, very well described here. I think in all that information, not the 3 clues, of course, but the needing the stake is explained in the manual as well, so that system is not Nintendo Power dependent to understand either. And, you're going to bump into these. Wearing a blue fucking, or purple. He's got some colorful ass cloak on, or cape and cowl rather, and it'd be impossible to miss him almost.
Can't miss him.
Yeah, and, anyone selling you anything in a game like this, yes, give it to me. So, and then when you get to that room too, you can't even, you're not going to get to that room, find that orb, not interact with it and leave. So, again, it's all kind of dummy proofed, I think, to teach you that stuff, but it is also explained in both pieces of literature that we use to play this game. And as you'd expect, there is a dedicated mansion track on the OST, Dwellings of Doom, that we first heard coming into our first segment. That's a fantastic track name also. The books in Oak Stake Merchant are marked on the screenshot map, and perhaps more importantly, the very annoying pitfalls you'd only otherwise know about via holy water spamming, but they do not highlight or explain. You'll want to equip the white crystal so you can see the moving platform that you need to ride to get past the very beginning of this joint. So they don't tell you everything, but they explain the annoying parts, basically. And this is where I also noticed that the timer does not tick while we're in here, and that is a nice thing for sure. It allows you to thoroughly explore them and not be stressed about time while you're doing probably, not that there's a lot of it in this game, even in these places, but probably the more difficult action parts of the game are in these mansions, of course. As much as the most you could say about action sequences. Okay. So there's a few dead bodies hanging in a room just to the right when you walk in here, and I saw that, man. I was like, "What? I got to go get a screenshot of that." And it's a whole fuck around to get to that and be able to do that. You can get in there. Go through some walls and shit, and it's like a whole thing to get there, and there's no reason to of benefit whatsoever, other than, there's bodies hanging there, it looks cool, so kids might want to get there, is kind of the only reason that it would even be possible, I think. But I was getting there, I was taking that screenshot, and I was thinking to myself, man, I owe the mind Konami had dirty pictures of Howie or something. The idea that they were able to get away with what they put in this game, the religious imagery, the fucking dead bodies hanging from fucking nooses everywhere, I know it was early Nintendo, and clearly Nintendo wasn't thinking that hard about this early on. That's how we got that cover. That was the whole thing. Yeah. But still, it's just so far outside the fucking framework of what Nintendo of America would allow for the most part, that there just had to be, there's something greasing the wheels there.
This is the unique Dracula. We need blood. Do you want to sell units?
Right,
this
exactly.
is what we need.
I guess, yeah. Make it.
And clearly that idea would go away later.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it just made me chuckle thinking about how something's going on. So no shit, Sherlock here. The 3 clues read: a symbol of evil will appear when you strike the stake, which, that's just telling you use the fucking stake on the Dracula parts. Destroy the curse and you'll rule Bram's mansion. I don't know what that means exactly. I don't know what that means. A flame flickers inside the ring of fire. I don't know what that means either. So clearly, not all 13 clues are critical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hence why getting them, I'm just like, whatever, man. I'm going on.
But that's the thing,
it's maddening.
Every piece of information is not critical. That doesn't mean that all the information is not critical. True. You know what I mean? And that, again, that's not a design weakness. That's just, giving you some fucking whatever, just filling the game out. The Oak Stake Merchant is right after the midpoint, and he wears a Buffalo Bills royal blue cape, not that I watch football, and a cowl that I think Josh Allen would start wearing when he runs out, or he should start wearing when he runs out on the field. That exact blue cape and cowl would be a cool-ass fucking thing for Josh Allen to run on the tunnel in. If I don't watch football. Invested in Oak Stake is his perfunctory sales pitch, and he wants a 50 spot for it, and considering he has the market cornered in here, an undeniable monopoly, I think his shareholders would be very upset about his lack of profit maximization in this business endeavor. because he could definitely charge more for these fucking things in these mansions, and he does not. So I don't know, maybe he's anti-capitalism, who knows? But that's how much those cost. The boss room here takes it way easy on you, seeing as there is no boss. And it's just a bunch of more dead by noose bodies hanging from the ceiling, a flashing orb sitting on a pedestal. You walk up to that, you drive the stake into it, you just select it, and then deploy it as you would any other item. And it reveals an auto-flashing bag on the pedestal, and we are told when you grab that, you now possess, with a fucking R after the P, Dracula's rib, and you can equip this by selecting the little bone icon in your multi-screen, and Simon will be holding a shield in front of him to block attacks whenever idle or jumping. Not on stairs, though, the pricks, you don't hold it up on stairs, so that's just another stair deficiency. You don't use the shield, which is insane.
Avoid stairs at all costs.
Right, exactly, and that's actually, like, that would be a perfect application for it. Like, okay, I can't attack, I need, I don't have, like, whips. I understand, like, I've never used a whip, but it looks hard and dangerous. So, like, I get maybe, whatever, that's a tough place to be using it. You don't have the, maybe, space behind you because of the steps, who knows, well, however you want to justify that. But holding up a shield to block the things that might hit you while you're on them makes perfect sense, and it's fucking dumb, but that's not possible. But these are probably best used, because you do hold it when you jump, so that's nice, I suppose. And the bridges where the fucking fishmen jump out of the water, yep. It's very useful for that. In some of the woods sections, there's shit that shoots at you. Things that pop out of the marsh, it's nice to bounce those. So there's a handful of very useful applications throughout the game it's basically, anytime I'm not using another one of the Dracula's items, which is why I didn't think to have the fucking eye equipped once I got it, I had this equipped and was using it as a shield. So it's probably the most commonly and widely used of the Dracula items.
For sure. I did the same. I pretty much always used it, at least until I got like the Morningstar Flame Whip and I felt powerful all the time where I didn't really need that. Or at least it felt like that.
Not thinking about defense, sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, you take it down when you use your whip for sure. So
yeah.
So real shit thing about this game, you have to backtrack your ass out of the mansion. There is no exit just to walk out of the boss room and get back outside. So that is Suck City. There are a couple of the mansions where they like kind of put in a back
get you
door.
out a quicker way,
a little
so you don't
easier.
have to fully backtrack.
Right,
but you still got to go back.
Yeah,
so.
It's not just fucking walk. It's not Skyrim where suddenly, it's weird. There's a fucking fake cave wall right here that takes me right back to the beginning. Which I love about Skyrim, but not the most practically realistic fucking way to design dungeons. So coming out of here, we will want to backtrack to the tail end of Dabby's path leg of this, breaking a couple blocks with holy water. So yeah, you can you don't have to go back to the town. Like basically, if you go through the town of Varos and keep going, it'll kind of put you back to the same place we're heading right out of here. So again, I don't know if I'm a little hard pressed to understand why they wouldn't want you to go to the town in the Nintendo Power walkthrough, because you'd have to backtrack afterwards anyways to get down there and get the chain whip. You know what I mean? So it doesn't. You might as well do it before the fucking mansion. I don't know why it wants you to do that, but anyways, there's a space in the fucking, what is it? Dabby's path. Yeah, I think you want to head down into this backtrack a little bit, because you come out on the top and you can't get dropped down to the lower level of it. You walk through that, and right before you head into the woods, Algeba Woods, you want to backtrack and go all the way to the left there, and that's where the Sacred Flame is. There's a couple bricks you break at the end of that tunnel, all the way to the left, where it's a little flame icon, and that gives you the Sacred Flame, which is it's the Dracula killer, basically, from Castlevania 1, and probably 3 also, if I can't remember for sure, but it's basically, you throw the little flame fucking thing, and then it shoots up into the air and creates like a wall of flame that will stunlock things and create a defensive wall for you. You're looking like you didn't get that.
I never did.
Yeah.
Never saw it, never heard of it. I mean, I take that back. I definitely heard of it, because as going through the manual, or not the manual, but the literature of antiquity, I'm like, they keep talking about this Sacred Flame, and I could use a Sacred Flame here, but I never saw the point when it was like, get the Sacred Flame, or like, I just missed it. So I was like,
yeah, there is.
Whatever.
I think there's a dialogue piece in one of the upcoming towns that mentions it, that says it's I don't know if it tells you exactly where it is, but it's there is a mention of it somewhere, either in a clue or in a by a townsfolk chatter thing. So it's mentioned. But yeah, I mean, dude, I missed it for sure, and it's even mentioned in the book or in Nintendo Power, and I still just glossed right over that. I thought it was just like fluff, copy fluff, and didn't fucking it's on page 31 in the yellow. Very easy to miss that though, for sure.
Dude, yeah, I definitely saw it, missed it, skipped over it, and I'm just like, you know what? Like I've gone through here multiple times. I haven't seen it because later they'll be talking about things you use to fight for, and I'm just like, I hope this isn't going to like impede my progress, and it never did. Thankfully, like with the golden knife or whatever, like I never needed.
I definitely walked into the Dracula battle thinking like that was the key to success, and it was not. Turned out, at least for me, anyways. Yeah, it probably you can probably use it, and honestly, if I'd have employed it a little differently, it might have gotten me through Dracula, actually, in hindsight. But yeah, it's probably not critical, but certainly helpful for sure, especially because you don't get what I think is the other devastating weapons for a while. The golden knife and the diamond are the two other big, like, offensive tools, I think, secondary weapon-wise. So this is a nice early game thing to have if you know where it is and can find it. So going through this section, we have spiders in here. Those suck. There's some bats. Those suck. More, some flying shit. Although it's probably the most benign of all bat appearances in Castlevania, I would say. They're the easiest to deal with of bat presences. And the ghostly eyeballs are a really cool enemy sprite I liked. I got to level 2 while backtracking to get that flame as well. So I was like, oh yeah, that's right, the system. I'm in between the first two, the mansion and the next. That makes sense, So it was like making sense to me, and that was good, I suppose, to have an understanding of that system. And we have a no shit Sherlock instance here as well. Another I did not find in my playthrough. And it's in the floor bricks just past the first rocks when you enter into the spider stretch of Algiba Woods. And this is another situation. It is a double situation, but it's on the floor. And I just blew right by it. It did not occur to me to fence test this. And this one reads, to replenish Earth, kneel by the lake with the blue crystal. So these ones that are out in the wild that you find are pretty important.
That's clear.
Yeah, that's obviously one of the big arguments against this game, and it being impossible without help, and that is debunked as well. That is available to you as well in game. So 2 crystals down, 1 to go on that front. Then we go into the town of Algiba. Splits the difference on size with the first 2. This is a 2-level village, and the description for this reads, or this section of the game reads, you have attained great wisdom on your journey, both to and from the mansion of Berkeley, but the true meaning of the information you fought for cannot be fully realized unless you travel now to the town of Algiba. En route, you stop at Yuba Lake. If you do something special here at Lakeside, a secret underground passage will appear. And that's bum direction, as you need to go to Algiba and swap the white crystal for the blue one, which the mag tells you to do a quarter page below that paragraph. So, yeah, that's 2 instances now where I'm like, not
trying to slow you down on your path.
Well, I don't know. I mean, do you think that it's that meta that they're like trying to like? Really. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're probably just fuck ups. But that would be fun if they were trying to role play as one of the villagers and like give you slightly but not totally fuck you over information in the magazine too. Townsfolk chatter here. Second house has a false floor with someone sitting cross-legged in the basement. Kind of reminded me of Matoya from Final Fantasy, is what I thought of when I saw that sprite, the ones that sit cross-legged. Dracula's eyeball reflects the curse. That doesn't exactly line up with what that does either. Reflects the curse? No. Reveals the curse would make some sense, maybe. I don't know. But buy some garlic. It has special powers. Vague, but I guess true. Clues to Dracula's riddle are in the Veros Woods. And this is the first one that I have some, like, well, there was that other one, too, about the treetops or whatever. But this was one early on where I was like, that's definitely a lie. There are no clue books in Veros Woods. And going back, there is not. That is a absolutely incorrect one. So that's runaround bullshit to burn your timer and nothing else. Clues to Dracula's riddle in Rover Mansion. It's kind of true for all the mansions. I think there is one without clues, but generally speaking, that's kind of redundant. A laurel will protect you from the poison marsh. That's very helpful. For sure, yes. The Dead River waits to be freed from the curse. I guess that, because you need certain body parts for the ferryman, so that's kind of loosely applicable, I think. Yeah, it takes some connecting, but... Yeah. To restore your life, shout in front of the church. Total lie. Well,
yeah, I was like, what?
How do you
What are we
shout?
talking about?
That's total bullshit. A grayscale dude in the far upper left of the town says, I'd like to exchange a white crystal for a blue one, and then it automatically happens. You cannot refute the trade. Not a fan of that, even though I don't believe there's a benefit to hold on to the white one once you've gotten this part of the game, other than if you somehow skip the mansion, which is totally possible, I suppose. Doing commerce here, the first open house in town is another false floor basement dealer. He's selling 2 dime bags of garlic for 50 per. Yes, please. Another basement dealer has 2 laurel bags for the same price. And these make you invincible for a period of time. I don't know the exact length. I'd say maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's like
good,
10.
Yeah, good spot guess. Hence the townsfolk chatter remark about protecting you from the marsh. And we do have one no shit Sherlock here. The first floor down from the ground floor in one of the basement dealer's hovels reads, an old gypsy holds a diamond in front of Deborah Cliff. Which, that's something that geography-wise I don't exactly understand. I think Deborah Cliff is a very specific place. That's where you go for the fucking tornado thing. But there are 2 ways to hit a dead end over in that part of the game. On the northwest part of the Nintendo Power Map. One is where you use the crystal, and there's actually a clue hidden there as well. And the other one is where the diamond peddler is, the diamond guy, and that's not where you use the thing. So they can't both be called Deborah's Cliff. They are both. It's whatever. What the fuck's the name of the word on the map there? Some sort of area, but they're not both Deborah Cliff, so that might not be correct either. But it is. They are both in that part of the game, so it's not terribly far off, I suppose. But that could be a bit misleading, I think. So then we have our next mansion, the Mansion of Lauber. And you have to backtrack into Algeba Woods to find the secret lake passage for this. At the lake, you pretty clearly have hit a dead end. You just make sure your blue crystal is equipped in your multi-screen and kneel down facing the water for a few seconds. A whooshing sound cue plays, and the screen pans down to reveal a path forward you can jump to. And I think another important thing to say here is, just closure, you can see something goofy underneath the water there. You can see that there's like a fucking some bricks or some shit that's not just more water. So that's also a pretty glaring tip. There's something underneath here that you want to get to. Granted, I don't know, does it say to kneel? And that, what was that tip? Kneel by the lake. So yeah, it tells you to kneel. So no mistaking that. But even without that clue, I think you're kind of incentivized. Like my thought process is like, it's kind of like just naturally like hit down. I want to look down. So hit down. You know what I mean? And granted, you got to hold it for a couple seconds.
You got to hold it.
Right. So that's a trick, I suppose. But generally speaking, like it's kind of like visually incentivizing you to try to scroll the screen. And intuitively, that could get you there also. So there's a little bit of help, I think, just in the design of it all.
The Mansion of Lauber appears to have only 2 very large and cavernous rooms. The one on the left is easily entered, but it holds nothing of value. To gain access to the one on the right, gather your courage and leap towards the center blocks.
Tipping you off about that wall is clutch, I think. Yeah. You know, like you can fence test with holy water, but that is a leap, particularly for kids, I think, to kind of work that out. There's no clues anywhere prior to this, so you have to just be in a mode that checks everything to play this part of the game successfully. Yeah. But that's kind of, again, I think that's not outside the syntax of this game or any other for the time period. No Shit Sherlock has 2 clues, both in the right half of the mansion. That moving wall on the way to the lower level one and having to use it as a platform was a whoa moment for sure. The clue reads, destroy the curse with Dracula's heart. I love that you can see the lake above you on the way to the second one. That was really cool. I thought that like the whole, again, making it a world, you know, you can see the water of that lake above you at one point. The clue here reads, garlic in the graveyard summons a stranger. And this is a critical one. If you don't have Nintendo Power to tell you this, I think. But again, even with this information, I wasn't able to fucking enact it. So you need more, I think, to get that. But that is a very luxury item to be able to have more laurels than 4 that you can normally hold. So not critical. Oak Stake Peddlers in the lower right, still 50 bones. Small thing, but I like these rocking a different color cape and cowl this time than the first one. Purple here. Got to take variants in NES color palettes, however you can get them. So I will take that. The boss room, again, has no boss. Just hung dead bodies and an orb on a pedestal. You now possess Dracula's heart. Doesn't really do anything practically or actively, I should say, maybe, in the game.
That's the only thing that was confusing to me, or a little confusing, was that I guess maybe being an RPG as well, just what items that I needed to buy again versus not buy again. You know what I mean? Because like to your point, once you trade the white crystal to the blue and the dude won't retrade, it's kind of easy. Like, all right, well, I don't need that again. I already have the holy water. Don't need that again. You know, these make sense. But then you can buy these oak stakes. You can buy them again. You can buy multiple. So it's kind of like...
Can you buy multiple?
Well, I don't know if you can buy multiple, but you can buy them again. So like there was a time, and I think you might be able to, because...
Oh, you definitely can. You can definitely like buy another one on the way out. Yeah. And not have to buy one in the next. Yeah. And I used to play as a kid. I used to play that way. It's not, you don't need to. There's one. I just, again, no faith that, like.
Well, see, that's a good thing. At least you knew that. But like for me, I saw that and I'm like, why would I waste the money if there's cooler stuff I got to buy later and I don't want to just be grinding back and forth and I don't need that. You know, then it was kind of like, oh, later I did need an extra oak stake and now I got to go through this whole, you know, so that was the only one thing I didn't like.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if that was the conscious decision or again, I just like my fucking item screen filled out. Who knows what my childhood brain was thinking, but like it's definitely beneficial to, because, you know, part of especially the ladder mansions, the design is to like make you deal with having to get that guy, you know, and like having it before you even come in there would make it way easier to just blow through the fucking mansions, I think. So yeah, it's not a bad thing to do so, I don't think. But it is interesting that you can do that. You know, I wonder if they even thought about it. I wonder if that was even like a conscious thought, you know, to have that available to you, or you had to think there was some level of playtesting where that was brought up. But who knows? Again, you never know with these fucking old development teams. So to the right of Algiba is a graveyard that quickly dead ends into a small water pool and too high to reach platform. So you have to put on your thinking cap to know what's next. And if you're not too tweaked up on oatmeal cream pies, you might recall there was a marsh to the left of the opening town, Jova. This is where we need to head to. And this is a serious runaround that seemed like a real biatch, I think, to a low attention span kid in 1989. This was probably the most confused I was.
Yes.
Is to know exactly what to do now. There is, you know, it is planted in your mind in that first town that there's something over there. Like it's not completely, and if you do go over there and explore it, again, you're going to hit that marsh part that you're never going to be able to survive through. You don't have the life for it. So if you did explore it, you'll have the, I don't know, seed planted that there's something over there that I couldn't get to. And most kids probably had to do that if they didn't have this literature of antiquity to work off of. And then literature of antiquity tells you not to go over there. So you're warned to not go there. So whichever situation, most kids at least were shown the light. Whether or not they remembered it, I understand. But the idea that something interesting was over there is planted in your head, I think, well enough to make this a possibility. And also, if you're not playing with the walkthrough, you probably had to do some kind of back and forth shit. You did, even with the walkthroughs. So, you know, you've already been kind of shown that that's a mechanic as well, I think. So, again, this is a hard bitch, but was still a little bit of a, what do I do next kind of situation, for sure, you know?
Yeah. Thankfully, with our literature here, the Nintendo Power, it was pretty easy to be like, all right, I guess, like, I've already gone all the way I could to the right, across the water, so now it's time to go left. It was, for me, it wasn't until after I got past Bram's mansion, then I was like, what the fuck do I do
when the pages run, the 10 pages run out, yeah, for sure. Yeah, shit gets more serious for sure once the walkthrough goes away. So yeah, you going back to this swamp, there is definitely serious shit here that if I had walked over here at the beginning of the game, even before the marsh part, it would have murked the shit out of you. There's wolves, and those fast moving as they always are in fucking video games. And I believe the purple deals are the Freddy things that are in the manual that are very, what the fuck are those? And the shit in the swamp pools are probably mudmen, is my guess, as far as how they correlate to the manual bestiary. And yeah, you'll have to use a laurel to get to the marsh leg or take some serious damage doing so. And then at the other side of that, a dead river, or you reach the dead river, and a ferryman awaits you. And you need to have Dracula's heart. Yeah, actually, so that's the usage of it. That's how they gatekeep you. You have to get the heart, and then you have to backtrack over here. Otherwise, he's going to take you somewhere dumb. And you actually do have to have it selected, so I was able to fence test what happens. But you have to have the heart selected, and then he takes you to Bram's mansion. And one of the fucksticks in Jova told us that the Dead River ferryman loves garlic. But if you use garlic while staying in this boat, which is what I first did, it just falls through the boat into the water. So I was like, what the fuck? So that's a little bit of a suck thing. But the instruction manual does tell us the ferryman can be trusted. Will take us where we want to go, depending on what body parts we possess. So again, the manual gives you the information for sure. It does not, however, tell you you have to select the particular body part. So that is a little bit of a fence testing thing that you may be required to do. And, tough deal, I guess. So without the heart selected, he says, sure, I'll take you to a good place. And then he takes you to the town of Alba across the river, which, man, that doesn't seem like a bad deal.
Yeah, that's a good place. What are we talking about?
Exactly right. It's a town. Yeah. So that is a little bit fucked, but whatever. And if you do have the heart selected, his patter says, let me show you the way, which certainly sounds more reassuring than a bunch of laughing, I suppose. And then it's off to Bram's mansion, which is on the side of the river we are already on. So that's, that map's so helpful because basically he takes you across the river, like, okay, that makes sense. And then if you fucking give him the part, he just kind of scoots you up the coast to the mansion, which you can see doesn't really get you anywhere. So you'll have to backtrack and have him try the other thing, basically, to get across the river. Or if you do actually go across the river and you get over there, even with, and you have that map available to you, you can see that, okay, I'm over here now. I want to get to that mansion somehow or another. Maybe I'll try. It requires some sort of fence testing to get there, So
that's what I had to do to get to the town because I came through with it, went to the Bram's place that I needed to do, and then going back, it was kind of like, wait a minute. Like there was something in here that made me feel like, all right, I got to get to the town, or I knew I had to get to the town. But I was like, how the fuck do I
do it? Yeah, I mean,
how do I?
I also, yes, it was not immediately intuitive. There's, again, not a ton of options. And I think there's some sort of dead end on the other side of the town, too, that forces you to backtrack for whatever reasons. That also leads you to do that. So, okay, so yeah, when he does take you to the right, when let me show you the way it takes you to the mansion, you do hear a distinct teleportation-minded sound cue, too. The ferryman's cap and cowl turns from blue to purple on this ride to convey to the player that something important has happened. So that is very well communicated, I think. And I just don't know how the fuck a child could have figured that out. So not built for kids. In either case, it's an automatic trip to the destination, and fishmen are popping out of the water as this thing hauls ass through it. And as the Nintendo Power says, you have to have balls of steel and just stand there on the boat and you'll be fine. But if you jump, you're fucked, which is what you're incentivized to do. So I definitely made the mistake of jumping and trying to kill this thing.
Did you?
Yeah. There's just no way, especially with that broken ass jump. You're just, you don't have any control to land back on the boat, so you're fucked, If you jump straight up in the air, like you're just going to fall out of the water when you go back down. Yeah. And it also doesnin''t stop at the destination. It just bounces off the fucking river.
Back,
and you gotta jump or you'll be riding back. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's like a benefit to that other than just frustration. I don't know. I don't know if there's any.
Keeping you on your toes.
I guess, yeah, maybe so. So then, hopefully, we are at Bram's mansion. And the description for this reads, your valiant quest now leads you to Bram's mansion. Before you can cross its dangerous threshold, you must once again return to the town of Jova. From there, embark on your adventure at the left of the end of town. The road ahead is fraught with peril, the poisonous waters and stinking vapors of the dreaded Belasco Marsh, plus the wide expanse of the Dead River lie between you and your next goal. And it's small compared to the first two, but they do a fine job of making you canvas the whole damn thing to get the Dracula treasure, I think, as far as this mansion goes and the layout of it, Yeah. So no Sherlock things here. 2 clues in this joint, but their locations are not shown on the map in Nintendo Power. So, again, weaning us off the hand-holding teat, as this is the last POI in the walkthrough before they drop Baby Bird out of the nest. Are you ready, Jay? Were you ready to be dropped out of the nest at this point?
I don't know. I thought I was.
Yeah. So the first clue is under the long stairway in the upper right corner. This reads, wait for a soul with a red crystal on Deborah Cliff.
Yep.
Pretty close. Doesn't tell you to kneel. but pretty fucking close, and you've already been taught the vernacular of kneeling with crystals. So that's a lot.
That one I actually got. I was like, I got the clue. I understand. We're good.
Yeah, okay, word. For the second clue, I tried what I perceived to be every single possible location on my way through this joint, and I didn't find it, so I had to look it up. Motherfuckers. The first map I found on Game FAQs, I shit you not, did not mention the other clue on it. So I found a map that also didn't, someone who made a map that also didn't know where the fuck it was. So
they had no idea.
I mean, the second one I found did, thankfully, and it's in the top, like I saw this spot while playing the game. And I was almost sure there was a clue there because it was one of the 2 bricks situation. It's on this dumbass platform that's clearly hard to get to. You got to drop onto it from above. But I got up there and you can't
get it.
You can't get
you
down.
You can't throw holy water into it.
What you have to do, it's super fucked up, dude. You have to back up on that platform above it and jump. And if you have a really, really good understanding of geometry and trajectories and how the arc of something can change over the course. Yes, you have to make like a fucking Steph Curry fucking 3, dude, from half court. You have to be far enough back and jump at the top of your apex and have the trajectory get to a lean enough angle where it can fall down into that and break the first brick so you can walk off, so you can actually get through, because the thing that your face is hitting the platform above it without this brick broken. So yeah, dude, just a super fucked thing. And like,
I kept trying that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I clearly can't break this. I kept throwing it and I was like, all right, I don't know how to get that clue. I see the brick there because I had the crystal, the eye seeing thing. So I could see there was a clue there, but I was like, I can't.
Yep. Even once I found it, because the map didn't tell me that. So I go back there and I still can't break that fucking thing. And I'm like, what in the fuck, man? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, maybe the Sacred Flame, which has the easier whatever, you can get it down there. Does it? Yeah. Nope, it does not. It's the only way to do it, I think, is to jump up and get that lean ass angle to break that first brick to get it. So yeah, I was like, whoa, you motherfuckers. That is a tough one, man. And at least the clue is kind of bleh. It says place the laurels in a silk bag to bring them to life. So yeah, totally worth it. Totally fucking worth it to do all that work. Get that fucking piece of information.
Glad I didn't need it.
Yes. At least that's not like the fucking red crystal clue or something, that would be...
That would be a true jerk move.
Yeah, that would be a real dagger turn, I think. So we finally have a fucking boss battle in the boss room, and it is the Grim Reaper floating around in an otherwise empty room. And I immediately discern the rib shield did not protect me from his size, and my OG gamer sensibilities suggested to me I should try my inventory items and see what's what. And the first choice was the Sacred Flame, and sure as the sun rises, just as it did in Castlevania 1, it was the key to boss battle bullshit, and it stun locks him in addition to doing some damage, and while he's stun locked, and he's taking that damage, you can also whip the shit out of him while he's burning also. And he takes a fuck ton of hits, so I don't know, did you beat him straight up? What did you use to beat him? Did you?
Yeah, I beat him straight up. It was funny because the first time I beat him, I lost like half my health, and it wasn't that hard. I think I was jumping. What I did was jump up and threw some regular daggers, and he like froze or something. I had to do a lot of like dodging him giving the jumping and whipping. But like the first time I beat him, it didn't seem too hard, even though I lost half my health. So I didn't save it. And I was like, let me go back and try it again. I died I kept losing just as much, if not more health every single time. So my Zeke was sitting there watching me. He was like, I could feel like you should have saved it before. That's not helpful right now. Like, no, I will make it.
That answers our question. Remember we had that fucking question about whether or not he would use. Yeah, there you go.
But I mean,
not only would he use them, he's recommending them.
I totally said that. I was like, no, I got to do it again. So I did end up going back and beating him and only losing like 2 or 3 health or something, where I was like, yes, definitely save.
Straight up? You never got to use an item? Okay, yeah. I mean, the number of times I had to hit him, stun locking him like that, I was like, fuck, man, beating him straight up seemed hard as fuck to me. So
there was a lot of dodging. I don't remember his movement pattern, but it was definitely like throw something, whip, dot. Like I had to, he would come close to me to a point where I had to like whip him a lot to like stun him, because with the whip I had at the time, it was still like stunning him long enough for me to like get more hits in. But then I had to run under him because if I didn't, he would trap me in the corner immediately. So I had to hit him a couple times and run to the other side, and that would get him to go up enough.
Go up again? Okay.
Yeah, to whip him. Otherwise, like if I missed that, it was done.
Toast. Here's the funny thing, dude, and most players know this. You might not being a Castlevania 2 veteran. You can just walk under this boss and right off the screen. You don't have to fight him at all.
So yeah, our literature of antiquity told us that you don't have to fight him.
Did it? I didn't even read that part.
It definitely said like you don't have to fight him, but if you do, you get something good or something like that. And I was like, oh, well, that's what it was. You will attain a great reward or something. So I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to fight him. I want to see what that.
Want the thing, yeah, and yeah, I mean, not getting that gold knife, not a good choice for sure. that
was the game changer for me. Once I got him, I was like, oh, this is
So yeah, totally worth dealing with it. But it's funny that again, kind of just I don't know, hammering on that idea of like boss battles and action, not what the game cares about. Skip them. Don't give a fuck.
I can't believe you're able to just skip this guy. I'm like, really? That's like, I guess if you had the secret water and you used your diamond, like you said later, like it could make things easier. But like,
I mean, to be totally honest, the golden knife was cool, and I noticed that it was a badass item, but I still didn't use it that much. It's just not secondary weapons. Again, I'm fence testing all the time. I'm using that holy water. I'm fucking spamming the holy water. I don't have time or interest in switching over to the gold knife just to pop off whatever. What am I fighting? That's so hard. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess to reply to that, I wasn't spamming the holy water. Like I only used it whenever I was like on a platform and just wanted to drop on somebody to take them out. I actually did not spam the holy water. I just used that eye so I could see where blocks could be broken or whatever.
Smarter.
And instead, like I got
smarter.
some
work smart, not hard.
The few parts where there were platforming and you had to jump across was so easy to just like throw a couple of daggers and just make your jump because those daggers are hitting whatever was going to be in the way. And so, yeah, it gets to the point where when you get the highest whip, it feels like they're doing the same amount of damage, but it's more of like, I know something's going to be flying at me in this wave parabola pattern. Let me just throw a couple of daggers so it's going to hit it and I can just keep moving. So it was more of like, once I was like, okay, I don't know how much time I have left because I wasn't tracking on that start screen how much time I had left. I was just like, all right, I'm just going to move. And so that's pretty much how I was using it.
Okay.
So after this point, it was like golden knife whenever I needed to.
Rolling harder than, huh? Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you kill him, it floats down. Cool animation even, I think. And then you get this thing. Yeah, it expends 2 hearts for ammo. That's not a lot for what it does, I don't think. It's a flashing dagger projectile that carries all the way across the screen when you pop it off, which I think is, better than the base dagger. And I never got the silver one either, but I imagine that their shorter flight paths certainly don't do as much damage. It says it's on par with the flame whip, so 15 times the base leather whip damage, so that's a fuck ton. And when it lands, it has the Sacred Flame effect, stunning them and a beat, and then doing extra damage too while it burns them. So yeah, I mean, I read that and I was like, that sounds game breaking. but I mean, I'm not too proud to break NES hard games. It doesn't bother me to do so. But yeah, I read that and I was like, God damn, that's hardcore. So yeah, you can just fucking skip that. Also crazy though, whichever method that you, whether you fight him or don't, either way, the Dracula part that you get here is the eye, and this will show you the clues in the walls after these messages.
We'll be right back.
You left him for dead in Konami's Castlevania. How foolish to presume he'd perish without leaving a curse. For now, in Simon's quest for Nintendo, fate stalks your very being, and you need more than clues from cowardly villagers to survive when day turns into night. But just keep telling yourself it's only a video game. It's only a... Huh?
That is a 1988 NES commercial for the game we are discussing today. Also a repeat. We definitely used that commercial before. They are really playing up the fright factor, I would say, of this game, which I suppose is applicable.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Don't know if I'm being fearful of this game, but we'll roll with it. It's in the genre.
Age 7 or 8, there's definitely some kids that probably were. I mean, clearly, moms freaked the fuck out about how serious this game is. If you go left out of Bram's mansion, after copping that eyeball, instead of back to the ferryman at right, you will pass through a fucked up platforming area over another section of the Dead River and into the Jam Wasteland. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. Jam Wasteland is where Deborah's Cliff is. That's like the area, on the map, I mean. And the Wasteland is full of new and difficult enemies, ravens, Medusa heads, pirate skeletons, and man-eating plants. Pirate skeletons, also a cool illustration and in-game sprite. I think your reward, if you can survive it, is a merchant handing out the diamond for free at a dead end. So again, not Deborah's Cliff, but it is Jam Wasteland. And yes, this is a sub-weapon that shoots out a large gem projectile that bounces around the screen rather haphazardly at odd angles. And that's all the thing. It looks goofy. Like, it looks...
Yeah.
It almost like, I don't know, it's just all the other things.
What are we doing here? Like,
all the other items in the game like feel like they're proportionally sized to everything. The diamond looks like, I don't know, an Atari sprite or something. It looks fucking weird. It makes a dumbass sound, I think.
Giant. It's just like, what is this thing?
But in application, it only uses 1 heart per projectile, no matter where you're at damage-wise. And again, like I said, it ties to your whip damage, supposedly. So theoretically, you can do the same damage that you can do with the golden knife once you get the flame whip for only 1 heart instead of 2. So if commerce matters to you, that is a nice shakeout, I think. So the town of Alba. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's weird. Like, there was a point in this game where it was like, I forgot that the weapons used hearts. Like, I don't know if this happened to you, where like, I don't know, like I was using a holy water whenever I did need to use something, or I was using the rib for a shield, so I wasn't losing hearts at all. And so it's like, there came a point when I actively wanted to buy something, maybe it was an extra oak steak or something, and I just went through and I was just murking shit with the golden knife, just because it was easier. Money? Yeah, and then I was like, oh shit! I stopped and I was like, wait a minute. I've been grinding. I should have. I know I got like 10 more hearts. Like, I have less hearts now. What happened? And it was like I had to stop, fence test it. Like, why did this wasn't a part of my gameplay for all this time until like just now when I realized.
I mean, you know me, man. I was uber conscious of it at all times.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I never got fucked over by that. I'm always thinking about, how am I going to need to employ this fucking resource? So yeah, it never happened to me for sure. But like I said, as a result, I probably had a lesser fun experience because I wasn't just murking shit, But the next POI is Town of Alba, and I rolled in here needing a church in a bad fucking way. Thankfully, there is one all the way up top. This is a large town. Townsfolk chatter. Offerings here read, clues to Dracula's riddle are in Bodley Mansion. Yes, all the mansions have clue books. We know that by now. Hit Deborah Cliff with your head to make a hole. Obviously bullshit, but a kid will go over there and try that for sure, somehow or another. I probably did at some point too. I'll see you at midnight on the riverbank, which is it's one of the fair maidens. Bow cha bow wow kind of thing going on there. Yeah, there's a lot of that here, actually. And are these upcoming towns, I would say. Sorry, pal, no time now, maybe later. Also one of the women, not fucking impressed by world famous vampire hunters, I guess. I want to get to know you better, and I realized at this one that, yes, this is all young women in this town, rather than the merchants. Oh, sorry, other than the merchants. Yeah. So what is up with that? It's never explained.
Right.
And there's another town.
It just drops the hint there. Like,
right. Well, I just mean, it's never explained that, like, why there are all women here and no men, you know what I mean? I guess other than the merchants. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're pimps or something. I don't know.
That's what I mean. They're all women and they're all, like, suggestive in one way.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, that's just because the developers were men. And yeah, there's another one that says, I've been waiting for a good looking guy like you.
See, they're all
is very suggestive. Yes. And then the last one, mildly useful, says, get a silk bag from the graveyard, duck to live longer. And yeah, I don't know, it's
fair.
duck, I guess. So maybe that's it. Maybe I did I not duck? I don't know. So you use you drop the garlic and then duck? Is that how? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I still don't.
No, you don't use the garlic at all. I don't think. You just use the laurel. and you like hit down, so you're technically ducking.
No. It's telling you to get the silk bag from the graveyard. And like I said, to get that, you're supposed to...
Oh, yeah.
You drop some garlic and on like the 4th gravestone or some shit
That's
like
right,
that.
That's right.
But again,
I think it's in front of the dude.
I didn't get it to work, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you just drop it in front of the guy, and he gives you a laurel. There's like a guy there.
I never found that guy. Now that you're saying that, I remember that.
Yep.
But I don't... So you did get the silk bag?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't fucking...
Yeah.
I never found him, even. I never saw him. I don't know what to think of that. I mean, there's nowhere I didn't go, I don't think. Who knows? Doing commerce here, both the usual small-time back alley garlic and laurel dealers, which are kind of present for the most part in most of these later towns. They're selling their dime bags of shake. And one of the crystal shakedown guys is here. He automatically swaps out your crypt crystal for a blood crystal. And that's it, though. I was salty there was no whip upgrade here, which I was kind of expecting. Saddam Woods is next. There's no fucking trees here, so weird that they call it woods. But a bunch of the goops. There's a path underground that is a dead end. Not sure if that has purpose or not. I don't know what it was if there was. Then we get to another town of Ondol. It's also a big place. This one is all dudes. So like I said, I don't know. Like,
interesting.
How do these two towns not consolidate? Like
right.
Saddam Woods sucks, sure, but it's not a bad enough place, I think, to keep an all-men place away from an all-women place.
Right. Come on.
Yeah. No church here, though. Just heathens. And the townsfolk chatter reads, when I was your age, women loved me. It's like, okay, Grandpa, let's get you to bed. Then this one, yeah, this is well, this is bullshit. I thought this was like a amalgamation, actually. Dig up the 4th grave in the cemetery for a diamond. So that, bullshit, of course. That's not how you get the diamond. Get from that dude by the cliff. A man living in darkness can give your whip power. That one's true. That's where you find the whip.
Fair enough. He's dark in the,
yeah. The game's dark. Yeah. Don't make me stay. I'll die. That sounds like a bummer. I mean, he's probably talking about the fact that the women are over there. That's probably what he's talking about, actually. Yeah. And there's another one of the cross-legged peeps in a house on the ground level. This one says, don't look at the Death Star or you will die. And that's probably just acknowledgement of Star Wars or something. I don't know. And believe in magic and you'll be saved is another one. Oh, yeah.
What?
And then the last one of interest says, take my daughter, please. And I just don't know what to think of that at all.
See, all of this is BS. You're like, what? Like, I'm not taking your daughter.
I mean, definitely, generally speaking, we're reading them, so obviously, but like the bullshit meter ramps up as we go through the game for sure. These later towns are kind of just chatter for the most part. Yeah. Doing commerce here, we have laurels, but no garlic, and there is a house where the floor is already knocked out, at the bottom of which is a merchant with the Morningstar whip clutch. He has slightly unique dialogue. Instead of the other ones, he says, Morningstar, buy one? And it's kind of like this, abridged, it's just a little bit different than the other copy to me. And this is 200 hearts for 8 times damage for it and the diamond, of course, if you have the diamond. And that's a solid deal in my book. We move into the Jam Wasteland, another part of it this time, and that gets us eventually to Deborah Cliff. And it's a nice grind spot here, actually, with the mummies and ghost pirates that I hit level 3 in, so that was nice. And then you're standing at the foot of the storied Deborah Cliff. You select the red crystal. You kneel facing the cliff. The tornado appears and carries you through a whole screen of rock and drops you off right at the doorstep of Bodley Mansion. And so no shit Sherlock here. I also did not find in the floor bricks just below the tornado ride platform. There's a clue book there that reads, Dracula's nail may solve the evil mystery. So it's vague, but it is at least telling you, I guess, that you need to use that nail for something critical for Dracula, and that's probably helpful in a general broad sense. So Bodley Mansion, you better be ABHWT here. False floors are abound, and even with the Morningstar, the grunt skeletons take 2 whacks, so the hit dice of these enemies is increasing as well. There's a false wall in the top right. You have to jump to find it. Of the first area, if you're not fence testing, it's likely going to leave you thinking this mansion is like a decoy, probably, because again, it's not, it's another one of those like only single things, and like there's no visual clue that there's something over there, I don't think, so a lot of kids probably bumped right up into that in their first time through this mansion, I think. Only one no shit Sherlock here in the red herring hanging corpse room, and this reads, the curse has killed the laurel tree, and that's I don't know, just telling you laurels are scarce, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I take from it. It's like, all right, so if I get them, great.
Right. The oak stake guy is in a black void. You have to find another false wall to get to. So this is a perfect example. If you brought it from the previous thing, you can skip a lot of run around in this mansion. That's nice. This one has an orangish brown cape and cowl. So again, some variants. No boss in the boss room again, which was unreal to me after finally getting a boss in the last one. That totally blew my mind. And after you do the oak stake move, you get Dracula's nail here. And this allows you to destroy certain otherwise unbreakable bricks with your whip attack when equipped. This is one of the ones where there's kind of a shortcut back to the entrance.
Yeah.
Thankful for that.
Yeah.
You can kind of just move straight left to get back there, which is kind of nice.
Thankfully.
Going left out of here just takes you to a water dead end after the mansion. After you walk back outside of me, it takes you to a water dead end that looks like the Yuba Lake secret screen. Did not know what to do. Staring at the multi-menu for a beat got me to trying the red crystal intuitively. So you do a kneel move here with the red crystal, same as you did with the blue crystal, and you can go down below the water. So this is the Udaloa Road, Debius Woods, and Joma Marsh track. And down here, I hit a castle wall exterior that I'd never seen in my life, for sure. So I was certain that I'd reached a point in the game that I never had, which made me feel good. It's got like a blue hue, wastewater coming out of the castle walls and stuff. So it's like, I don't know where it's supposed to. It's not the base of Castlevania, but it is, I don't know, some sort of like town-based thing, but there's nothing else town about it.
Right.
Or some human architecture, I should say. Human-made architecture is maybe the way to say that. Off to the left, over some platforms bobbing above the water and through some bricks you break with Dracula's nail. We see a purple cow merchant. This is the guy in the dark with the flame whip. And he's even hanging out below this little spider web sprite, which is, again, I don't know, kind of upselling the dark part of that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
He says, I'll give your Morningstar power to burn away evil. And that, dear Lord Disciples, is the most bout-it whip in the game. The Flame Whip, 15 times damage. Looks dope. Feels dope to use it. Great. Yep. Debius Woods has a no shit Sherlock in there. This one reads, Dracula's evil knife blurs Camilla's vision, i.e. use the golden knife on the Laruba boss, which is a good tip that I did not think to do because it was so easy anyways, but I believe it's it might even be a one-hit death thing if you use the golden knife on it. I'm not sure, but we will get there in a moment, I suppose. Left from here, I encountered a huge marsh pit that I should have brought more than one laurel for, but I had enough life being on level 3 or maybe even 4 at this point, I think, where it used my entire life bar down to 1 unit that just got me to the other side. Yeah, so... Oh, wow. Yeah, I wish I had bought... I see those guys in every town, but I'm like, fucking laurels. What the fuck I need those for? I'm safe scumming, who cares, So, yeah, I just took the L on that when I got to the other side. Lost life. I'd been safe scumming, so I had 3 lives to work with, so I just died and got back to full life via that.
I feel like it's, I don't know where the clue is. I don't even know where I saw it, but there's somebody somewhere, and I think we will have just found it. Maybe it's even in that last place where you can get like 8 laurels. There's a guy.
Well, it's a silk bag. It's the silk bag.
Yeah.
If you get the silk bag, it increases your amount from 4 to 8. I don't know. Does it actually give you physically 8 as well?
Well, no, I don't think so. But there's a guy that you find in one of these places. I don't remember where it was now. That actually gives you 8. And you could technically keep going to him over and over. Like, I don't know why you would do that.
Really? I did not know that.
I'm like, it's got to be in the place where we're just at.
No, you're right. I think that last mansion, I didn't write it down, but you're right.
Yeah.
You talk to him, and he maxes out your laurels. So if you have the silk bag, you get 8. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I was able to go through here just like, all right. I kind of didn't want to lose them all because I was thinking in my mind, like, I still want to only use the minimum. So I was still losing health going through there.
Really?
Because I was waiting until the last minute to use another one because I'm like, I might need this for Dracula.
Yeah, no, it's actually the next mansion.
Laurels. Is it the next one?
It's it's in LaRue Mansion. Yeah.
So I had a couple. So I had a couple already then.
Okay.
Yeah.
This isn't. I think there's a longer one than this. Maybe even. Maybe not. I can't remember. Whatever.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about.
Who knows? But yes, you get to the next mansion, Laruba. It's rather small. Not as many false floors as I expected the 4th one to have. Certainly less than the last mansion. That's nice. And yes, there's a gray cow merchant here in the bottom left. I believe he is. And he says, I beg of you to take these laurels. And he imparts a 4-spot, a real bone from the developers, so we can get the fuck out of here safely after taking down the mansion, I expected. So yeah, going back out, you need them just the same. That's worth saying. So that's what we're thinking of probably, is going back.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you have to go up to the top of the O shape on the right side to score the oak stake, if you didn't bring one from the last mansion. And the Dracula part is in the bottom right, and this mansion is clueless. Har har. There is a boss battle, though, Vampira, and this is a big floating scream mask, basically. It has one black eye, one white one, and we'll do a bunch of circles. You're supposed to go into attack mode during, and after some of these, it'll stop and shed flame tears out of the camera right eye that burst into spread shots when they hit the ground. Your rib will block these, so if you have that equipped, this is really cake. But even without those, also probably cake. And yeah, diamonds and sacred flames did nothing to it, but the golden dagger would piece it up. So yeah, it's not a one-hit death, but it fucked it up for sure. So yeah, that was the no shit
like a joke at this point.
Foretold. Right.
Or just the bosses. Just the bosses in general. I'm like, if there's a boss, cake time.
Yeah, not I mean, yeah, I don't know, Dracula wasn't nothing for me. But yeah, it goes without saying that boss battles are not this game's strong suit, and again, I think that's by design. So it drops the magic cross when it dies, so that's how you get that. It's not one of the Dracula parts or anything. And then you pair this with Dracula's ring to open up his castle, which is of course in the next room. Stake the orb, cup the ring, we out, and then we are through a long stretch of interstitial bullshit: Joma Marsh, Devious Woods, Udaloa Road, Bodley Mansion, Wicked Ditch, and I first errantly went left out of Laruba and went all the way to Aljiba before realizing this was not where I wanted to go. And then, yeah, if you go right, and past Bodley Mansion, that's where you're trying to get to, and you will hit Doina, which is another town. This is This is tiny, basically just a church stop and a little bit of townsfolk chatter that isn't terribly useful. Cross-legged cat in the first house just yells, "Get back." After Castlevania, I warned you not to return. And that was actually some kind of fun breaking of the fourth wall, I thought, from one of the townspeople. And then another one says, "You've upset the people. Now get out of my town." And then the cross in Laruba's mansion must be found. And that's it. Just shit talking. And that's actually telling you that you do have to, because you can skip Vampira too. You don't have to fight that one either. You can just skip the boss. But you won't get the fucking cross. And the cross is critical to get into Castlevania. So not as optional as the Grim Reaper is.
Yeah.
So only doing commerce here is for laurels. And then we are moving through Northbridge, Dora Woods, Town of Yomi, Vrad Graveyard, Westbridge. And you want to take the stairs down in the Dora Woods, which gets you to the town of Yomi. And this is a total ghost town. It's even a grayscale color, which was cool, I think. Just a visual choice. Except for one cross-legged peep in the last doorway out of town. And that one says, "Let's live here together." And now, homie, I got shit to do, but that is a cool little narrative touch, I think. It's just like the last town, and they're just like,
yeah.
You wanna fucking, I mean, are you sure you want to do this? Let's just fucking chill out here. Right. Live out our days.
At least it lets you know you're going the right direction, too. Because at first I was kind of like, all right, when I left Lord Ruba's mansion, it's like, all right, now which way do we go? I feel like I've gone all the directions. So at least it kind of lets you know, like, yes, you're going the right way.
This is new, right?
Yep.
And you gotta love, other than breaking those nail bricks to get to it, the West Bridge is just a quiet, uncontested approach to Castlevania. That was a nice touch too. Again, I've always, both 1 and 3 had that. 1 in particular that, I talked extensively ad nauseum about that, like, stair climb up to Dracula's lair. And like just and you see the moon behind you and shit, and just really cool. Same thing here. Great visual. See the mountain range in the background. There's no enemies. It's just quiet. It's just playing that dope ass song, and you're just moving across the bridge to get to Castlevania, which is very cool. We start in the courtyard. The all too fittingly named within these castle walls scores it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it about moving across the bridge, but just in general, this whole castle is just a drawn-out expansion of that idea. It's just this quiet, suspense-filled approach to Dracula. And, I mean, I'm even like, I'm not trusting it. I'm fucking holy water spamming. I'm like doing all this shit. And like there's a kind of a long jump at one point. And there's like one other like slightly you have to like use your brain for a nanosecond thing. I think I can't even think of what it was, but yeah, it's basically just quietly giving you suspense as we get to Dracula, which fucking awesome. You know, good game design, very whatever, good storytelling. And then Dracula's lair is rather minimalist, I would say. Just a couple of pillars on the vertical thirds with a pedestal between them. And when you walk onto the screen, Simon auto walks up to the pedestal when you enter, and the silk bags that hold the Dracula parts start levitating out of his pocket and up into the air above the pedestal, which, you know, is surely just a workaround for the developers to not have to create in-game sprites for each of those. Okay. But to me, it was an interesting thought for like Simon to, you know, he gets them in these bags, and then when he wants to use them, he carefully opens them, takes them out, uses them, puts them back in the bag neatly, and puts them in his however fuck he's carrying this shit. And that was just a funny thought to me, you know, especially constantly using the rib as you do as the shield. Like how frequently that would be the case is just a funny little fucking quirk to me that made me laugh. So after they all get up there, the bags flash and fall down onto the pedestal and create a large fireball before Dracula appears in the same spot, like on the pedestal. And there's a Dracula track, goes without saying. This one is titled Last Boss. He is a large monochrome cloaked figure, maybe 3 Simons tall as far as size goes, and it kind of stutter teleports around the room in mostly circles and then fires off what reminded me of Wendy Koopa's candy ring projectile in Super Mario Bros. 3.
Okay.
That was a good comparison, I think. And I only noticed his, "Are you not entertained?"
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Animation, holding his arms out to his sides, palms up on my 3rd time through just to get screenshots. So that is how quickly you can murk him, is that you might not even see what his is like the variance in his moveset. I assumed that he just did that one thing, basically.
I couldn't tell you what he did. No idea whatsoever, because I came in and immediately started jumping and golden knifing him, and I swear, like, if I look at my notes, like, did I even put a time? Like, I just absolutely annihilated him. The whole fight maybe have taken 5 seconds.
Okay.
Like, when it was over, I was, like, half expecting, like, another form to take place, or, you know what I mean, something else to happen, but it was done so quick, I was just sitting there stunned, like, oh, that was it. Okay, I'm OP. I was clearly OP, definitely didn't need to go to level 5 or try to grind to level 6 or 7.
Right.
Would have been completely unnecessary.
I did not think the knife. I thought the Sacred Flame, again, from my previous Castlevania experience. So I came in using the flame, which of course requires having it, of course, which is part of the reason maybe you didn't think that. But yeah, I mean, my entire boss battle stream is 7 minutes, and that includes me dying once and going back through it. So however long the battle did take me, winning or not that fucking long for sure. And the link to that's in the show notes. But yeah, I went in with the Sacred Flame the first time, and I was like, you know, stun locking him with that and then whipping him. And like what I was saying earlier about how if I had employed it a little differently, like I understood I was stun locking him, but I wasn't as diligent about keeping him stun locked as I probably could have been and would have been a second time using the Sacred Flame. But I was streaming it, and Rich Lamone, one of the Lord disciples, jumped into the stream while I was playing it at fucking some ungodly time in the morning on fucking Wednesday or whatever after I got back home. And he's like, "Oh, I used the diamond." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll try that." In my head, I'm like, that doesn't seem great, but I'll try it. And sure enough, because you can put 1 million of them out there and they're bouncing around the room, they're stunning him, and I just whip the shit out of them while the diamonds are bouncing around. So it was a great choice. And they are doing a ton of damage too, of course, just like the knife. So yeah, I worked his ass pretty good the second time through using those. But I believe that the knife also would have been very effective.
So freaking quick. It made me feel like I had cheesed for a second, but I knew I didn't, so it's kind of just like, all right, that's the boss. Like, I'm thinking of Dracula as still like this big ominous thing, takes like a big battle. Not this time.
Yeah, not boss battles in this game at all. Yeah, I went there. Just obviously stream. I'm not screenshotting. I'm just fucking playing, and then I go back through to get some screenshots, and I did the knife that time, and I was able to just fucking torque his ass with that. So. Very effective, very effective. So he bursts into a fireball on death, which is just, if you look closely, it's two...
It's like upper and lower flame at the same time.
It's the same flame that's on the pedestal, and they just like flip it and put it underneath it, So, a little bit of Sprite fucking reuse there, butt to butt. But no further fanfare in the room. What happens next is dependent on the amount of time it took to finish the game. So I got her done inside the 8-day mark, so I got the good ending. What did you
got the good ending?
Yeah. What did you end up finishing with?
I got the normal ending.
Normal.
Yeah, I got the normal ending. Yep.
So the good ending goes a little something like this. We cut to behind Simon, standing in front of a grave that reads Dracula, 1431 to 76 on it. And the sky is a dark sunset orange. Mountains can be seen in the distance. Dead tree limbs silhouette the foreground for some extra atmosphere. And the ending theme, Requiem, swells. Simon drops to one knee, bows his head, and the text begins typing out in the sky. This reads, "The encounter with Dracula is terminated," which is a hilarious line to me. Terminated. Like the encounter is terminated. And then Simon Belmont has put an end to the eternal darkness in Transylvania. His blood and sweat have penetrated the earth and will induce magic and happiness for those who walk on this land. And then we fade to black and silence, and we come back into the same shot. Simon is absent in this case, and the sky is a night purple and everything looks moonlit. And then the headstone and the mound of earth at the base of it begin rumbling and shaking before a bloody hand comes bursting up out of the dirt, and then we sit in the stillness of that a few beats before cutting to the title screen. So the idea there, I think, pretty obviously, is Dracula is back, So that doesn't seem like the best ending to me. I don't know about you, Jay.
It's very interesting. They already knew they wanted to make a Castlevania 3.
Well, they definitely knew that, but given the other, we're going to talk about them, the other endings, is a really interesting choice, I think. Anyways, no end credits. That's also wild. It just cuts back to the fucking title screen, so whatever. So the other endings, the one you got between 8 and 15 days, and correct me if I'm wrong about any of these steps, but Simon kneels before the grave just the same, but it's a beautifully colored scene out before him. Blue sky, midday lit mountains, and you can actually tell there's a lake below them. I didn't register that as a lake in the sunset version of the good ending. So just generally speaking, it just looks beautiful.
Looks different.
Yeah, well, different but beautiful, and that seems more optimal to me than the harshly lit sunset situation of the good ending. And the text here reads, "Although the confrontation between Simon and Dracula is concluded, Simon couldn't survive his fatal wounds. Transylvania's only hope is a young man who will triumph over evil and rid the city of Dracula's deadly curse." And yeah, I feel like that's kind of suggesting a child, right? Is that Trevor? No, because Trevor is Castlevania 3 is a prequel. I think it's 215 years before the next one. So at some point, we're going to get further in the timeline, I suppose. Yeah,
definitely.
But that wasn't the next one, so who knows? I mean, who knows what they planned? But yeah, I didn't really clock that part of it. Either way, the text seems worse. But yeah, again, the image does not. And then more than 15 days, the bad ending is a black and white view of the grave, no trace of Simon Belmont in the frame, and the text here reads, "The battle is consummated. Now peace and serenity have been restored to Transylvania, and the people are free of Dracula's curse forever. And you, Simon Belmont, will always be remembered for your bravery and courage." And that, to me, text-wise, sounds like the best situation.
Right? Just like it's done. Yeah.
Right. Visually, black and white looks super fucking dire and bad, but the text sounds way best. It's not dead. You'll always be remembered. Well, it doesn't say specifically either way, but it sounds like you're not dead to me. It certainly doesn't tell you you're dead like in the normal ending. So that's a positive. But it also says peace and serenity have been restored, and the people are free of Dracula's curse forever. That exact word is used. Forever. So that's not bad to me. That seems good.
That's interesting. But it also doesn't, unless that just wasn't in the one I looked at, I don't think the hand pops through at the end.
No, the hand pops only.
That's only in the first one.
In the good ending, right. So the only one that Dracula visually is shown to come back is the good ending. So again, yeah, man, there is much speculation. This is a huge jumblefuck gaffe over Konami HQ, as logic suggests, both given the narrative of Simon trying to beat a ticking clock on the curse on him and like the traditional video game syntax that faster is better, so like that seems like an inherent, right? So the faster you finish the game, the better the outcome for your protagonist, and the world should be, if that's the case. So yeah, for one, I already talked about the color hue thing, but Dracula's alive at the end. That's bad. The text for the normal ending that Simon didn't survive, I think, belongs under the black and white visual, basically. And then the text and the image for the good ending should probably be what you get for the normal ending. Like that should be the sunset lit one and the text and Dracula comes back, situation. Maybe both of them, I suppose. Normal and bad. And then the ultra prosperous image for the normal ending and the everything is hunky-dory text for the bad ending is what I think we should have gotten for beating the game under 8 days.
Yeah.
So
it feels like a situation where they didn't want to make any of the endings bad per se because of like what they perceived as like what you got to go through to finish the game in general. So like we want to have some variability, but we don't really want them to sound bad, like because you're still beating the game. So it just turns into this like, all right, I guess this is the better ending than that. So that's to me what it seems like. They just couldn't think of a better way to separate them.
I feel like the fact that Dracula visually comes back in the good ending is just like an irrefutable fuck up to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that should have been...
That should have been the worst ending.
Exactly. That should have been the black and white thing. We should have been looking at that the whole time and then rumble and the hand comes out. That would have made a ton of sense to me. But, yeah. I mean, if Dracula doesn't come back, we don't have a 3. So I get wanting that. But if that's the case, that needs to happen in all 3. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not...
Yeah, it's weird.
And only the good one.
Or the one that you think that most people will finish in. Do you know what I mean? It's very weird to have it as in just like... what would likely be the hardest way to finish it,
right? Right. Unless in playtesting, 97%, there's no way. Like that, the bulk of people finish it in the fastest time, especially in playtesting, as opposed to later and release when people would have gotten some information to be able to get the game faster. I don't know. 80s, man.
Wild times. That is the Nocturnal Curse Monster Dance track, bringing us into our final section, the verdict. Josh, what are you thinking?
I feel like you've kind of, which really surprised me, I feel like you've already kind of alluded to this game getting the blessing. I feel like I want to hear that before I give you my...
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, I honestly very much expected to hate this game. Like, because I have not enjoyed Castlevanias in the past. Like, I definitely, when I was younger, like, really little, like, I played Castlevania on the arcade, just traveling with my parents, so, like, an arcade stick and all that thing, and it's been tough. It's not a series that I expected to have any kind of positive mentions for or, like, great memories of, but I forgot that I had purchased, and I don't even remember what made me do it. But I forgot that I had bought that Castlevania collection. And because I got it for so cheap and had all the Castlevanias as a part of it, I think being able to just play it comfortably on the Xbox and everything helped with that. And it was smooth. Like, it felt like I was playing the old game. Like, I didn't feel like, anything was really missing. And so, would I consider playing it again for fun via remastered version? I clearly just did, and I would play the other ones. I would definitely recommend buying that, especially if you have any affinity for Castlevania. I would recommend just getting that collection so you can have them all for probably $20 or less. And again, I had more fun than I thought. Like, I did not... Like, I thought this was going to be an action platformer. I expected as such because I'm remembering the other games that I've played that were harder in that way. And so it was just different than I thought, and there were definitely frustrating times where I had to look up things, but everything else made sense. Like, I like feeling OP, so being able to freaking toast the boss at the end felt like all my hard work and the power-ups I had gotten were solid, you know, and I liked that I didn't have to go find everything like the Sacred Flame. Like, I was able to just play through without that. Like, so I like that there was some variability there. You don't have to have the one path with the one weapon kind of a thing. So yeah, I think it still holds up. I think it's solid, especially if you're looking for something with a little more thought that you got to put into than just like the action. So surprisingly, I will give it the blessing.
Okay. If you recall my verdict diatribe for Castlevania 3, I said these games are fucking broken.
Yes.
And that is still true. Don't get me wrong. This also, all the mechanics are identical. It's amazing, actually, how one for one they replicated the physics in all three of these games. They're exactly the same as far as physics go and movement and all that controls. But we've said it a million times already on this 4-hour fucking rant that this game is less predicated on sequences of dexterity. And that means less reliance on its broken fucking control set than in 1 and 3. And further stressed by the complete omission of boss battles. Being important. Like,
pretty much,
you got to do the one and you got to get the fucking cross and you obviously got to be Dracula, but that's not what this game is about at all. And I don't think, it's a stun lock away from just marking it. You know what I mean? And you've already almost certainly played Castlevania 1 if you're playing this game then or now, and you know that killing Dracula is a stun lock thing. Everyone knows and learned. I don't know how the fuck you beat Dracula in 1. That was like the worst boss ever. without learning the stun lock thing with the Eternal Flame, the fire thing. So, it just takes all that fucking out of it, man. And you're just exploring a really cool, well built out world, And I told early on in my playthrough, I mentioned to Ian that like how writing down, like being forced to write down every single piece of dialogue and microanalyze it and really dig into it in a way that I just never would do playing the game on my own. You know what I mean? Like being forced. That's why I love this podcast. It forces me to think about these games in a different way, in a more thorough way, even beyond just my natural inward of bullshit. That is a lot. It's a fucking a lot, but sometimes it's still not enough for what these games are really thoughtfully, fully built game within these limited that's the thing too, is like they put these big ideas in these limited contexts, and that's where the problems lie. Is like they put this bigger idea in a thing that can't fucking support it without some thought outside of the video game itself. You know what I mean? And that I understand is hard for people to justify if you don't have the patience for it, especially then, but even now. So I get all that, but this game deserves, and to its detriment requires, that you play it like that. And that, I don't know, man. It's just, this game gets the blessing because I am playing it in 2025 when I was finally built for it. You know what I mean? And like, that is...
That's fair.
8-year-old me... I don't know. Again, I was so fascinated by it that I clearly felt endeared by it. I tried it so many times as a kid and throughout my life. So like, there was something there. I knew there was something there. I'd always wanted. I've called it one of the white whales of this podcast. The Metroid, games like that fucking require just so much that again, it's just in the wrong wrapper to not be frustrated by it without some level of guidance or thinking in the right way or being forced to be thorough enough to get everything that you need to get to play it the right way. So, yeah, man, it gets it now, and it's a shame that I don't know that I don't know, wasn't a better way to describe it to people or explain to people what they had to do to play it the right way. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't even like the syntax. It's not like you'd be like, oh, this is like a certain kind of game that you play a certain kind of way. I mean, I guess, we've started to see RPGs by this point, or we're about to. Dragon Warrior drops either right before this or right around it. So these games are new.
That's very different from this.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
And that's the problem. The bigger problem maybe is that you have the action component of it. So you don't think you have to do those steps. Like in Dragon Warrior, there's clearly nothing to do but write the shit down and figure that stuff out. Here, if you're not, especially after it's so different than the first one in that regard, but so like it visually and seemingly control-wise and the feel of it, that you maybe don't think, that's probably the simplest way to put it. You said it yourself. I didn't fucking think I had to write this shit down. Yeah, you do. Just because you have to also whip things and move around in action sequences, you still got to hit pause and write this shit down. And that is just, kids not understanding that is just a shame, And so, yeah, it gets the blessing, but I think maybe even a bigger determination, other than the fact that we've just given this game a double blessing, which I don't think anyone would have expected. Probably listen to this podcast, especially the double blessing. Maybe me, but I don't think no way that our listeners think that fucking both of us would have given it this. I definitely don't think Ian thinks we're going to, and so that's interesting. But I think even more important determination was just whether or not for sure this game gives you all the tools required. And I mean, we kind of hit each one, but in a summation sense, dude, you were told by a fucking million NPCs in this game how important gathering 13 clues to defeat Dracula is, and those are in the mansions. And once you sort out that holy watering, and outside the mansions too, holy water and everything is part of the deal, to find those, how many you have to find, and you're supposed to fucking... You don't need all of them, actually, you said yourself. And we kind of determined that some of the more fucked up ones are not essential.
Thankfully not necessary.
But the ones that are essential, which you're hopefully going to find, while trying to find, maybe unsuccessfully, all 13, but at least trying to find 13, are the important ones, and getting those, and those are going to unlock the harder puzzles for you. So there's that, and all 3 crystals, dude. We were explicitly told the white crystal opened up Berkeley Mansion. The Yuba Lake puzzle is explicitly explained in the Algeba Woods clue. You were told to kneel at the lake. Connect the dots, motherfucker. The biggest one is the red crystal tornado at Deborah Cliff. We also debunked that. You were explicitly told by in-game copy where to go and what you need while you're there. It does tell you have to wait. That doesn't mean kneel, but you've learned that kneeling kind of means wait. And there's only so many fucking buttons on this controller.
There's only so many things you can do.
There's only 6 fucking buttons, basically. I guess select and start 2 8 buttons, but whatever. And there's a lot of little shit, Dracula's nail breaking certain bricks, the holy water spamming, revealing a lot of the shopkeeps, deception by some townsfolk, etc. But all of that is well within the trial and error video gaming vernacular of the time, and or explicitly told to you in the manual. So, yeah, I'm sorry, 80s babies and retro heads alike, but while this game requires hard work and very thorough explanation, it is not fucking impossible without a strategy guide. And you are given the tools if you choose to put in the work to find them, and you can imagine how good it felt if you did back then. You probably felt like a goddamn king. Okay, so that's Simon's Quest 2, Jay. Any other notes?
No.
Okay.
Summed it up.
Okay, man, so next up, well, maybe not before, but on the horizon, we got to finish this goddamn PS2 side quest. I have done the work over the last couple of weeks. Another benefit of this vacationing moment I had, and I have decided that, yes, we can absolutely knock out Dezo in one episode for sure and finish this game. I believe I am currently at the final boss, which is not easy. Fair warning. I did not just blow through it for sure, but everything you have to do on Dezo is very consumable in a one-episode situation, and I think we should get to work on that. You should get to work on that in your free time whenever you may have it, and let's try to get that finished and off our plates so we can find something more fun to play, because I will tell you this, the dungeons still suck. Use the book. The dungeons never get better. Spoiler there. But there is some cool storytelling that's, it doesn't make the dungeons worth it because they're so boring and so uniformly uninteresting. But there is some cool storytelling to be had, and I am eager to one, get it done in general, and talk about something else, video game-wise, RPG-wise, hopefully. But two, it is a somewhat engaging story that I'm glad I'm getting to the end of and learning how it goes.
All right, let's knock it out and get it done. I got Dragon Warrior 3 and Final Fantasy, like 3. like
aspirations?
Yeah, they're burning a hole in my console, just like every day.
Okay. Word. And then, yes, in our main quest, we are returning to the rags for sure. On our main timeline, we have not had any Able Gamers interjections that are going to force us into another game up, 15th in a row, or whatever it would have been. So now we are moving back to the May 91 issue of Nintendo Power. That's number 24, screaming at us next. And I am fucking excited, and I assume you are too, Jay. You can subscribe to the pod on the platform provided by whatever dumbass company that shows your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on that podcast platform of choice, or any other for that matter. The website is nyehentertainment.com/ISOHpod. Email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com with your Able Gamers receipt to get us back into another game episode tangent of your choice. And the pod can be followed on Facebook and or Instagram. Link to the YouTube Gameplays Videos playlist is in the show notes. There's the ISOH subreddit if you want to get down with us on there. And we don't have a Patreon, but if you'd like giving money to do things podcasts just tell you to, and like to do so in our direction. The Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities. That's cool as fuck. AbleGamers.org is where you can find them. T-shirts and or hoodies are on the website. They're dope, and proceeds on those after pod expanses go to Able Gamers. We're both rocking some right now. And Jay, what are your socials? What's your blue sky?
Gentleman JB without the second E is my gamer tag, and that's where I'm at.
I am on Instagram, and my Oculus and Steam tags are my shift key is broke, and then I'm on Blue Sky at nyehentertainment.com, same as the website URL. Okay, bye.
Bye.
We'll drop that here. I think that's not one of your selections, is it? That is your last selection, right? I think it is. I think Monster Dance is your last one. So, whatever the case, maybe I won't drop it here. We'll see. I'll find out. I'll find out in the edit.